help you when we got wings. We could fly right over you guys.
Is sure to be an absolute rip snorter.
Your boy is back, and I'm your host for Week 3, Golden Boy. How's it going, everyone? Currently, Chris Puckett is hiking in a mountain shirtless, whilst only taking time for breaks and doing push-ups. That's what Chris Puckett does, so I'll be replacing for today.
Yeah, don't forget the American flag, though, as well.
How can I
carrying
forget the
that out
American
the mountain,
flag?
you know, weighted, of course. So just really embodying the American lad, as you do. As you do.
And the cheeseburgers with the pickles, because he's not an animal, so he'll keep them in there.
So in case you guys haven't noticed, we got Bren, we got Crumbs over there. How you guys doing today? Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about these games today, honestly. I'm excited. Once again, we've got the battle for LA. Always an exciting time when these two teams battle it out, you know. I mean, the crowd as well, the energy. I mean, I was putting out a few posts on the social media, but these guys, they are fired up today.
Well, we've divided them now. So we have one side, that's the Gladiators side, with the other one, the Valiant.
Yeah.
Either color-coded. There's enough people with shirts now, so we're getting there.
Yeah, we are certainly pretty soon. It's going to be a straight line down the middle, whether you're green or you're purple, depending. But first, let's take a look at the schedule for today, because at 6 p.m. we have the Dallas Fuel versus the San Francisco Shock. Then at 8 p.m. we have the Shanghai Dragons taking the stage against the Seoul Dynasty. But for now, all eyes are on the battle for LA. You have the LA Gladiators versus the LA Valiant. Here are the overall standings, though, for this one. And here's the thing, right? Currently, you have the Valiant in that top 6 position, which is exactly where they want to be going into the playoffs. Meanwhile, the Gladiators are in that 8th spot. A win here, of course, every win, very, very huge moving forward. And then looking at the stage overall, and as Malik mentioned at the top of the show, the Gladiators and the Valiant are sitting pretty at the top 4. Valiant currently leading 4-0, and they may make that into a 5-0 today. But this matchup is currently 1-1. Which is very exciting. The last time these two teams fought, you had the Gladiators get that 4-0 sweep. The Valiant, though, are looking a lot better since their last match. So, Crumbs, I mean, this team's very different from the last time we saw the battle for LA.
Yeah, things have really changed. Towards the last time they played, it looked like Valiant was really on the downhill, almost hitting that Dallas Fuel kind of status, but it turns out they turned things around, and now they have a sick lineup. They understand what they need to be doing, and their shot calling has improved really a whole lot with the addition of Custer. So we actually get to even hear him right here.
Okay, they have to rush the point. We just kill whatever goes to the point.
Play slow. Like
Yeah, play slow. Force the defensives, and then we stay alive.
Are you going over? Guys? Maybe we can drive by.
Demon Monkey has to
We
come
can
first.
try and kill effect, maybe. Monkey,
Whistle right, whistle. No jump.
Oh, monkey.
No.
Right side,
Watch out, boss.
I can go. Meti.
Right side. Nice.
Nice.
Good job. Good recovery, boys.
All right, guys. Good luck.
I mean, you can hear the impact that he has on this team already. I mean, we knew that his comms are clear, but that was actually pretty nice to hear.
I want to give credit to everybody else that shut up while he's talking as well. Let the man with the plan speak. Everybody else has to obey, and that's what we're seeing out of the Dallas or the Valiant now. They're a lot more decisive, and they've had many full holds in some of the maps that we have today, which happen to be a stark contrast to what the Gladiators have to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned the maps there, Crumbs, as well, because that's what I really want to look at in particular, because Gladiators, yes, they might have won the last matchup in the Battle for LA, and it was a 4-0 sweep, but now we're coming into a new Valiant squad. They are looking a bit rejuvenated with these new players in. And in their recent match against Seoul, again, they played Seoul on both Temple of Anubis and Junkertown, and it was actually probably one of the worst maps they played. And lo and behold, they're going to be playing Valiant on the exact same maps today. You know, realistically, Gladiators, they need to step it up a little bit if they want to try and bring the battle here to Valiant, because Valiant are just on an absolute hot streak, on a tear right now in the league. And it feels like, again, they are probably one of the top teams now currently in this league. Again, we saw the stage 3 standings. These guys are sitting up right in the top, but here's the win percentages, right? And here's what you really need to look at, the historical data between these two teams. You can see just here, clearly favoring Valiant all the way.
Wow. Numbani is actually pretty much reversed, 17 to 71% on that one. I think it's the first 2 maps, so the first half is really going to be what will decide how this match is going to go. If Gladiators can actually take a map here, go against the grain of the percentages of the map pool, then it's going to be a close series.
Now, the thing is, though, neither team has really been tested throughout Stage 3, as a matter of fact. And if I'm correct, they all played, I think, the same teams.
Yes,
Correct
they
me
did.
if I'm wrong.
No, they absolutely did. I mean, Valiant here, as you can see, they played pretty much almost the bottom of the ladder as it comes to, you know, you've got the Dragons, the Shock, and the Fuel. So, Dynasty, you can make an argument that they kind of been tested in that match, but even then, Valiant, they won it pretty convincingly. It was a 4-0 sweep, and then the Gladiators are in a similar position.
Yeah, but the Gladiators have not hit a 4-0 in all of their wins, so already there's a discrepancy there, taking that loss off of Shock, and I think Custa in the video actually hit it. He feels like the Gladiators are more of a either settling in or even a downswing, whereas you have Valiant fully coming on board, only getting better, and just tying a map really to the Dallas Fuel. They hit that one drop with the 2-1, but they're still far and ahead, the stronger team coming into this match.
Yeah, this match is going to be very exciting. I can't wait. Are you guys in the house ready for the Battle of LA? I love it. I love it. So let's go ahead and bring out your first team. Please welcome to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, the Los Angeles Gladiators. Currently sitting 13-11 overall, and you got my boy Sure4 leading the charge.
But he's not alone today. His mother is here to see him. Check him out. She's right there. There it is. Mama Sure4. You love it when your parents support you in gaming. That really, it hits home when you have somebody that cares for you and supports what you're doing, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I feel like, again, we may have been being a little bit unfair to Gladiators, I think, in the beginning, because this is still a team with tons of talent across the board. You look at this support line, you've got Big Goose and Shaz. These guys were top dogs in the European Overwatch scene, but then you've got also the DPS and now incredible tank play from Fisher and Vishu to really back them up. And I mean, Fisher, this guy right here, has been a difference maker for Gladiators. They started out, it was a bit rough in the beginning of the stage, and a bit of the season, but he has turned it around for this team.
It hasn't been rough, really. It's been more like the honeymoon phase is over. That's really what's gone on. You got a great new addition. Now you've got to figure out how to make it work all the time, and it's going well. Taking 3 wins on the first 2 weeks is really no thing to scoff at, but even though the percentages are against him, I think that today they have the flexibility out of any other team that is up against this battle. They could probably do it.
That's very exciting, and here is your full final roster. Excited to see Sure4 once again, and yeah, I totally agree with you, man. Fisher is just, the guy is such a game changer for this lineup. Exactly what they needed, but they're going to need him to be top peak performance going into this matchup because their opponents know the pressure that Fisher can bring to the table. So let's welcome your next team to the stage. It is the Los Angeles Valiant. And they are 15-9 overall, top of the stage presently, gentlemen. This team is a force to be reckoned with right now.
Absolutely. I mean, these guys are just skyrocketing upwards, it feels like, in Stage 3 so far. They've really been performing incredibly well. And, you know, we mentioned before, it's mainly because of these pickups they've got. Custa coming in with the calling. Space is playing out of his mind, you know, contending for really one of the best players in the role that he's playing right now currently. And, of course, Bunny as well, who can really just clutch out those situations when you need him to.
And if you look at the record, this team is the strongest team of Stage 3. The top teams that you expected to be in that place have either been not preparing against teams too well or simply have their own issues, and that's allowed the Valiant to rise to the top and hit that sweet 4-0. A couple more wins here and there, and they're actually going to have a nice little buffer zone to get to those Stage 3 playoffs and maybe even longer.
And there's the man we were highlighting before, Custa. Look for him to be a difference maker in this matchup with his shot calling. And it's always a pleasure to see agilities.
Custa must be so happy. I mean, this is a man that just jumped ship before the explosion hit the water, it got into life vest,
like an action movie.
Swam all the way to LA and is now out and about loving life.
That's a long swim.
I mean, this guy's liking life.
Bit of an exaggeration.
He's on Australian.
Nonetheless,
he's got physique.
This is the squad. They always come out with these guys in Anubis. I'm expecting big things.
Oh, man, I love it. Everyone's chanting. Everyone's going nuts. This is what you want to see for the first match of the day here at the Blizzard Arena. I don't even think I need to do anything more to hype up this crowd. Let's just go ahead, send it over to your casters. You got Uber and Mr. X.
Thank you very much, Golden Boy. You're right. We might not need to do too much more for this crowd, but we're going to do it anyway. You know how it is. Mitch Leslie here with Matt Morello. Not only a city divided, Matt, but an arena divided as well today.
Yeah, I love the battle for LA. I mean, all the fans show up, right? Everybody's going crazy out there. The Gladiators fans cheering like nuts, the Valiant fans as well. This is going to be a very close match, though. The Valiant, I think, have been a surprising team here in Stage 3. Obviously, a lot of changes that came in before this stage began, but they're putting it together in a nice way. Anubis will be the first map to kick things off. We saw that map graphic earlier. Not the best map set for the Gladiators.
No, I mean, it's quite incredibly favored in terms of the Valiant, in terms of their previous sort of record on them. And we've seen the Gladiators play Anubis. We sort of played against Seoul, I believe, last week, and they actually won that series 4-0. But typically, their performances of the Temple of Anubis have left something to be desired. But they got up against the Valiant squad. They beat them 4-0 last stage, but much has changed with the green and the gold since then.
Yeah, obviously, a few new players come in. You have Custa come in from the Dallas Fuel. Space turn 18. And we talked so much about Sinatra and Super as Space has made a big impact. So you can see the team setting up here on the Temple of Anubis. That middle bridge there is where you're most likely going to see a lot of teams set up early, because what they try and do is they fall back all the way to that high ground. See the Valiant, though, they're probably going to set this one up all the way in the back. So they're going to have Fate play the Orisa and then kind of just keep Soon all the way in the back. Usually you see teams now, they've adopted to set people up on that first lower perch, but it's going to be something that we saw at the beginning of Stage 1 here for the Valiant, all the way in the back.
This is a setup to purposely give the Widowmaker the advantage in the head-to-head, but there's no Widow coming out here for the Gladiators. So now, with this mobile comp that the Gladiators have, they can take quite a large amount of real estate if they manage to avoid this early poke damage, which they've done. So they've now moved up and Soon needs to relocate.
And when the Gladiators have struggled on this map, it's usually when Shervor or Hydration get so far behind enemy lines and they don't come back to the rest of the team, or they're not able to really make a difference on that flank. That's when you really see them struggle. So the dive's going to come into the high ground, then Soon goes to the opposite side. They get agility, so that's big. There's going to be a lot of damage gone here for the Valiant.
Soon managed to get out of trouble, but Hydration going to make life a little bit harder. Of course, Agilities wasn't nearly as lucky, and now it's going to be a whitewash, or a purple and whitewash, as it were. And the Gladiators start this fight off beautifully. A bit of a shaky and soon to crumble defensive setup on the Valiant there, Matt. They seemed like they gave up too much space, and the Gladiators did a lot with it.
The kill onto the Junkrat's huge. In that type of composition, when the dive comes in for the Gladiators, who's responsible for all that damage up close? It is the Junkrat. So you get rid of Junkrat, you stay there for a second or two, you get everybody all healed up, then you're able to dive on this Soon, and the tank's a lot easier.
It's time for the Valiant now to sort themselves up and set up on this second point. It's Shawford. He catches a wave with grenade from Agilities, and the Resurrect's coming in. The Valiant hope to try and capitalize on that, and they did. Big Goose is punished for going for the Resurrect. It is a move that makes you very vulnerable, and he drops in a couple of grenades to secure it.
Junkrat is so difficult to deal with on this point B. You can see Hydration just getting pelted there. The Agilities comes off a spawn after the first one. He's only 26% to a Riptire. Now 94%. This will get res rate up though, so you do have that kill come through, but Fisher dives in after that res. He's gonna have to use Primal Rage to stay alive. It'll be a Riptire that comes out from Agilities. Could end this push.
Yeah, straight away it's done. Shaz and Big Goose fall to the Riptire, man. Both supports being missing now for the Gladiators. They popped a couple of ultimates. You saw the Primal Rage being used there by Fisher. So he figured he'd stay around and get what he could done. But it's gonna be a wash in that fight. The Valiant now can set up.
Ideally though, you would have liked to use that Primal Rage to potentially force out one of the support ults, because now you have Dragon Blade, you have both support ultimates, but it won't really matter that much, right? Because Karib has his Transcendence, Custa has his Valkyrie. Unless the Valiant kind of play that poorly, I mean, they're going to have a spawn advantage, right? They should be able to hold on through all of these ultimates.
Oh, Shawford, no, he's caught out. Agilities connects a couple of grenades, and even the Tracer couldn't blink away from that one. Hydration has a Dragon Blade, but they definitely need the Tracer here to make use of the space that Fisher and Bishi would like to try and create on the point.
Here's another issue, is that when the Valiant win these fights with Agilities, just getting picks on Junkrat, and then they can push forward, he can put down some extra damage, the Riptire just keeps coming up. And Riptire is such a powerful ultimate ability, especially on a point here like Anubis, where you have to travel through one of 3 chokes to get to the point. It's easy to pick up those multi-kills with it.
Fate gets moved away, but he does jump back onto the point. Fisher definitely fancied a bit of a head-to-head fight, but he wasn't going to be given it. Hydration's forced to use the deflect here just as the grenades come rocketing in from the left side of the point, and Agilities, he is close to that Riptire. Now with the Transcendence in play, it might be the time to go for that one. Hydration wants to finish soon without a blade, and he gets him. The Trace is down. Oh no! Riptire's been removed! Pichu gets it with the self-destruct, and now the Gladiators are in a good position to set up and pressure the point. Right now, the back line of the Valiant are trying to stay safe over on the right-hand side, but the Transcendence is brought in, and now the blade is brought to bear. Agilities is in big trouble. Hydration takes him down. He avoids the martyrdom. The total mayhem grenades drop. But Big Goose is removed by Space. Hydration's running out of gas now. He's taken down by Fade off on the right-hand side, and it's just Shore4 and Fisher left for the Gladiators.
Dude, the tanks on the Valiant just able to stay alive for so long. Obviously, the Transcendence from Karib is huge. And Custa using his Valkyrie early in that fight are massive, but Fate and Space as a newer tank duo have been able to have so much synergy with each other. It's really impressive.
Again!
This will get res.
Defense
Custa bring
matrix.
agilities back.
Space getting in front there, body blocking and D-matrixing to try and avoid a hydration, Matt. Going to be switching over to the Sombra here.
Yeah, they'll be able to get control of that lower health pack, and they'll be able to just have the tanks go down there, just get a little bit of extra HP, get right back up to the top in those longer stall scenarios. You're also playing for a big EMP on the point.
And Shaz is close to a Transcendence, but he's being pressured now. It is going to be soon to go down. Doesn't quite get the D-mech either. By the looks of things on Bishu, he stays alive. But of course, the Goose was caught out. He tried to pocket Bishu in the process, was caught by the blast. And with Hydration being removed from the fight, Agilities can breathe a sigh of relief and set the Riptire forward now. But the Gladiators are essentially already been pushed out at this point. This ultimate, that's very little in the grand scheme of things.
You'll get a D-mech on the Bishu. Maybe you'll decide to leave him there, but he did use Transcendence there for the Gladiators. So now you put yourself in a big hole because it's going to be both support ults online for the Valiant. You don't have an EMP to potentially, negate any effects of those potentially before they get popped in terms of ultimates. So you're really looking on Shore4, maybe land a pulse bump on a Karib, force out Transcendence early, then you can kind of stall that point a little bit longer, maybe make something out of it. But the Valiant have just had such a great ultimate advantage throughout this point B.
Shore4 now lurking with that pulse bomb. Again, removing Fate from the fight early would be huge. He notes the locations of both of the main tanks, or the tanks at least for the Valiant. So Shore4 now sets up on the point. He obscures himself from line of sight, and now he can jump in after the fight has begun. Shore4 now with that pulse bomb could be big, but he drops it on the ground and no one's affected by it. However, Fate has been removed from the fight already, and both Mercies have gone for the Valkyrie. There's extra healing. Good self-destruct in, but Karib and Agilities take cover, and then Junkrat returns to the fray. 2 ticks though for the Gladiators here. They've got a huge advantage, and now that EMP is going to make life so much harder for the Valiant. However, the Transcendence is still used by Karib. He avoids the EMP. He can use that ability, but Fish is getting aggressive, and now the Primal Rage to seal the deal. Karib is splattered against the spawn door, and the rest of the Valiant can't even get out.
It's going to be Custa bringing Karib back to life. It'll be a Riptire out of the spawn here for Agilities. See if he can get it. Oh, it's 3 players. A huge Riptire there from Agilities. Probably saves the point there for the Valiant.
Just what the Doctor ordered for the Valiant. Ever so close to losing control of that point. The Gladiators were so scattered, not prepared to receive the Riptire, let alone blow it up.
You know, with both support ultimates as well, and then they also had a self-destruct. You would have figured the Valiant would have been able to hold on to that, and it started to get scary there because when Space uses his self-destruct, he gets hacked by Hydration and then gets taken out in the mini diva form, so not able to get a mech back and stall it out until Fate came off the spawn. That Riptire saves the day, though, and that's why Junkrat is so powerful here on point B. Just those, there's nowhere anybody can go, right? I mean, you have to push through one of those 3 chokes, and you kind of see them from everywhere as well, so it's pretty easy to get those big kills.
Big Goose now, trying to avoid soon. He took him down a half health with 1 clip. Notes the location, of course. Shore4 is trying to just prod around the side. Now, Bishu's a little bit low on health. Fisher chunked on down. And now, as soon as looking for Shore4, it's going to be pretty much a retreat here for the Gladiators. They lost Hydration. Took a lot of damage. The poke's very good. Of course, as the Valiant do feature that Junkrat. Well, very punishing.
It's going to be very difficult for the Gladiators to get on through. I mean, you see they're going to have a Riptire again.
Another one.
You have Valkyrie, and you are going to have a Transcendent. It's going to be all 6 ultimates here for the Valiant. It would be very difficult for them to lose this next fight.
First picks, then have to be the order of the day, but Hydration is the one to get picked instead. It's only 5 left for the Gladiators. Riptire just to punctuate it. Big Goose taken down. And Akari being brought back up just for good measure. It's got to be a Transcendence here. There's no choice. The Gladiators must stand and deliver now. But Soon is feeling very comfortable. You can see the Bishu didn't even have the time to try and pressure him down. He just backed away. Now he has Chas for free. Goes for it. Fate now jumping on the Omnic Monk in the backline of the Gladiators and doing well to zone them out of the building. But Shore4 found Soon. He got a little bit ahead of himself. Now an attempt for Big Goose to try and go in for the Resurrect, but he's taken down by the remote mind of Agilities. And now Shore4 bounds and leaps across. Custer backs away with Agilities. Shore4 is still present. He recalls into point, and that's going to be the EMP, but there's not enough players here for the Gladiators to capitalize on the fact the Valiant don't have any abilities to use. And Agilities has got plenty of them. Big pulse bomb. Fisher doesn't even touch the ground before he's taken out. 93% capture progress on the second point. That is what the Gladiators are going to have to be satisfied with.
we talk a lot about main tanks in the Overwatch League, where we talk about Fissure and Gesture and Gamsu. Fate is just as good as these players. I feel like sometimes he kind of gets lost in the conversation. Makes a great play towards the end. So they know that they have Big Goose down, and then Shaz had just used Transcendence, and he's backing out of the fight. They keep space on the point to contest it with Soon. And then you also had Fate go all the way into the back by the arches. He forces out Valkyrie so far away. Big Goose is basically using it all the way by the arches, and he's able to kill both supports and then work his way back to the point. Just a really heads-up play, knowing both supports are coming off spawn. You knew that one of them had an ult coming back in. He's able to force it out.
Agilities with a Herculean performance on the Junkrat. This is your shot, bro. Well, 13 final blows, 30% of his entire team's damage output on Junkrat. That is considerably higher than you'd normally expect for a single DPS player. And you can see the impact the Agilities have with the Junkrat. It's hard to miss. Not exactly subtle.
I'm surprised we didn't see the Gladiators stay with Dive a little bit longer, stay with Tracer Genji, because the teams that we've seen be successful against that Junkrat comp on point B, they've just kind of forced that Junkrat into that back right corner. You know, imagine you're looking from the attacker's point of view. That back right corner, they dive right onto the Junkrat right away. If you're able to kill the Junkrat, most likely there's support there as well, so you can get that player as well and then work your way back to the point.
This is considerable. Agilities, his KD increasing by 56%, by almost 1. So, you know, kill to death ratios for a lot of DPS players are fairly close to 1, maybe 2 at the most. So Agilities is getting a huge amount on top of that.
Some teams still don't really know how to play against the Junkrat. I mean, every time we see the Houston Outlaws, we're listening to, like, whether it's London or Seoul Dynasty, they're always talking about like how Jake's Junkrat is so difficult to play around. It's just, he's such a disruptive hero that it's very difficult to make anything happen.
This is a very different setup, Matt. The Gladiators are setting up on the lower ground and not right up the back with the Orisa. Now, this is going to allow Shawfall to get back and actually put a layer of defense in between him and the enemy team. It's going to be harder now for the Valiant to access Shawfall, even with that Genji. And it might force them to go onto something like a Genji Widowmaker composition.
So this is what you wanted to play if you're the Gladiators, because who is going to switch to Widowmaker here? Would it be Soon? And then you lose your Tracer, unless Agilities has played Tracer in the past, no, but not too often. Primarily a Genji player.
So you pick Widow as the Valiant, you force Shawfall onto the low ground with the rest of his team, because he will need the shielding. Then you can jump on them with Genji. I don't think Genji Widow's terrible on the attack here for the Valiant to respond to this composition. Right now, it's just really hard for the Valiant to access Shawfall's position.
It's risky and we haven't seen it. I mean, could you triple DPS here if you're the Valiant and have Kareem play Widow and keep your Genji Tracer and play something like...
You give up Transcendence is...
yeah, you do give up that second support all. That's like the most... And Discord as well.
What's the most important ultimate on the side of the Valiant? That Transcendence. Soon be Shawfall. Widowmaker getting pressure down. Soon not giving too much of a line of sight there. But, oh, that's a big hit. It's forced his recall now and he could be in trouble. Soon has to back away. Agilities double tap for the next Tuesday. And that's Shawfall now with a chance to breathe and set up once more.
You know, we ran some of the numbers on Watchpoint this week, and Surefour ranks amongst the best Widowmakers in the league. Fissure talked about it. You know, he kind of got on him, didn't think he was the best Widowmaker player. Surefour is really...
he had the top stats, that's right.
Rededicated himself, getting good at this hero, and he's made a big difference for the Gladiators. It's interesting, they were going with a pretty even rotation at the beginning with their DPS players. Now you're seeing Surefour be like the mainstay in this roster.
Bear in mind, Asher is in the building. He is back.
Yeah,
so, you know, he could be brought in to play that Tracer, so there's a good Tracer Widow composition here. Yeah, so the Valiant, look, I really think the Gladiators' defensive setup is the best right now, the most optimal on this map. You give the Widowmaker a bit more freedom, a bit more protection.
Window of opportunity here, though. You did see Riptire use, and they didn't really get much of anything for it. As I say that, Soon is killed going through the choke here by hydration. Kareem will fall as well.
You play Widow on attack here, the only thing that can really threaten you is the enemy Widow. And Shawfall wouldn't have a shield to hide behind, he'd be forced to drop down. So there it is, Fate tries to go in, but he was on his own. The entirety of the Valiant is still sitting out by the front door, and they've made no progress thus far.
It's just a smart game plan here from the Gladiators. You see the roster that comes out for the Valiant, you know that weakness that they have right now.
Pulse Bomb fizzles on Fissure.
He gets him low, but it's going to get healed right back up.
Fate takes a big hit. Again, no threat on Shawfall. The man is just chilling out. Huge amount of damage being dealt by him in this round, but even without having to find kills. This is going to go up and over the wall and straight back down, I feel. Now, just dived on. Nice job by Space. He gives up his life to absorb that flow. That's a very clever decision, and it still keeps him in the fight, even if they're lacking a diva.
Yeah, Infrasight plus Riptire is a pretty powerful combo. Obviously, you gain all that information. They're going to use Transcendence just to get in. That's a little bit of a desperation move. It's going to be Valkyrie popped here as well. Custa's trying to keep everybody topped up. This is just so the Valiant can make it through to try and make any pressure happen on the point.
They're using ultimates to even get in a position to fight. That's not a good sign. You want to use them once the fight's begun to give yourself an advantage. All this does is put the Valiant on level pegging to a degree. Agilities, of course, he's got a Dragon Blade here, but where does he send it? That's the question. He doesn't need to use it on Big Goose, though. The Shurikens find their mark and followed up with a Swift Strike, and that's all they'll get. Nothing else. 25 seconds left in the round, and the Valiant have not countered this composition from the Gladiators properly at all.
And you didn't want to use your Dragon Blade because you know Shaz still has Transcendence. You have a few seconds here where they won't have Big Goose in the fight. As Big Goose switches off of Mercy, will go to Lucio just to make it back. But there's a Riptire. It's going to be on the boards here for the Gladiators. This one will be devastating, I think.
This Dragon Blade has to be incredible from Agilities. We've seen from him before. He knows the Riptire's been used. We can get a hydration kill here, but it's only going to be a 2-for-1 trade. Agilities needs to remove Shawfall now. It has to be now. Dragon Blade's out. Transcendence used. Agilities tries to chase Shawfall up into the air, but he can't fight him. There's just too much going on the point. The Transcendence makes it impossible to get the killing blow with the blade, and Agilities has to take cover now. Space is taken down by the self-destruct as his Diva moves to the point, and he's discorded, removed from the fight. Where are the Valiant right now? Nowhere to be seen.
Impressive hold from the Gladiators there on point A. Hydration with a big Riptire pretty much seals the deal there, Mitch. And with Transcendence available for the Gladiators, that Dragon Blade wasn't going to get much done from Agilities.
There it is, a Junkrat and a Widowmaker with not much pressure on them is going to be very, very hard to break through. The Gladiators shields up in every sense of the term so far. Great defensive hold. Their attack left something to be desired, but they didn't have to worry about it. They were rock solid on that first point, Matt. Can't really fault them at all. So our next map is just going to be around the corner here. First one over the Gladiators. Nicely done. Shawfall looking sharp on the Widow. This is the battle for LA. We'll see you after the break for map 2.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
series belongs to Los Angeles.
That's the difference maker. Surefour coming in big in the end.
There's a shot. Oh, Unko. Gladiators looking for more. Huge play from Hydration. Valiant holding strong.
That was a nail biter in the end, though.
Oh man, it might even be shields down and swords out right now for the Gladiators because they've been drawing blood. And the Valiant have been a little bit slow on the uptake today.
Yeah, it seems like the Gladiators coming out today, putting together a pretty good performance in map number 1. In a map pool, especially for this series, that is not the strongest.
Historically,
not good. Historically not good. They did look very good, though, in map number 1. I want to talk a little bit about the Valiant DPS, though. Agilities versus Soon. Obviously, Soon played a lot of Tracer and Widowmaker. In that map number 1, Agilities played a ton of Junkrat and Genji, but you can see how much damage Agilities was able to put down there in map number 1. It's good for 32% of overall team damage. Usually you would leave this in, and well, Soon has to step it up here going into the next map. But we're going to have some substitutions that come in for both teams. Soon will be coming out. You'll have Bunny that'll be coming in for the Valiant. We'll see him in a second, but it's going to be Asher who comes in here, takes Hydration's place. He will play the Tracer on Nimbani.
Yeah, I dig this, and that also leaves Surefour now free to, he was actually filling Asher's shoes on the Tracer prior to that, but now he comes back in. Bunny in for Soon. So yeah, I think it's safe to say with 6 final blows over the course of the match, Soon definitely had a quiet second half. We talked about it, we sort of said that maybe it's wiser to try and match Widows in that particular setup, but again, that's why Bunny was brought onto the Valiant, and maybe that's not a comp they want to run with Agilities, Genji, and Soon Widowmaker. But it didn't work on attack. Tracer Genji doesn't work. I mean, the Tracer's not great at accessing the high ground. She needs to go up the left side, so didn't work out.
At least from what we've seen from the Valiant thus far, and what we know about Bunny and Agilities as players, what the Gladiators can expect here is, one of like 3 different things. Like Bunny will probably stay with Tracer the entire time.
Yeah.
You can see like Tracer with Pharah on offense. Agilities can play pretty good Pharah. See Tracer Genji, which you normally see. Or it could be like Tracer 76, you usually don't see Agilities. Or maybe Junkrat if you wanted to run Junkrat here on Nimbani, but we don't see Junkrat too often on Nimbani. So I think you're looking at either those options. Knowing that, you're going to have to protect Surefour. You imagine there's going to be a ton of pressure on his Widowmaker.
He opts for that one. We also know that, with Hydration, we've seen Hydration in this map in the past. He's now been taken out of that one. So, yeah, we expect, both Asher and Bunny to be pretty much set in their ways, I think, as you sort of pointed out. And there's room for flexibility in those other DPS roles. Agility plays a whole host of different things, as does Surefour, as we know. Again, let's keep an eye on the tanks here because dive is going to be very important for attackers on this map. It's tough to take point A unless you can really shake the defenders off of the high ground. And with the Valiant defending first, you'll see them try to stick to that as much as possible. They've actually got Agilities on the Soldier 76 here. This is a role that actually Silkthread used to occupy on the Valiant when he played with them. So a bit more of a hit scan focus role.
Agilities does have a good 76 though. I remember a game we casted when they were kind of going back and forth between the Crave and Agilities. It's on Hannah Murray. He had an absolutely tremendous game. Surefour looks like he will play 76 on offense as well. So that tells me the Gladiators not really interested in diving up onto that top right high ground. They're going to try and get Surefour set up on this left-hand side.
I mean, they have to get access to the left side. If they don't, then Surefour can't get in position to do anything. So it starts here. Bishu sits up here, and he will dive across to the left once Surefour pops out. Theoretically, have to try and protect him. But Surefour's on the low ground. This is so weird. 76 tries to make his way in. Obviously, he's a decent dive target despite the fact that he can dash away. So perhaps Surefour just wants to grind it out at 10 paces with these 76s.
Or they have Fissure back up the supports, and then they try and bait to the middle street, and then have Fissure come back and dive right on top of him and take bait out in the middle of the street, because he has no healing at that point.
They could have used Surefour as a bait on this corner, trying to force the Valiant to dive across the face of the Gladiators. This has actually worked really well. I'm super impressed. Very different setup on this map to have Surefour walk in the front door and not worry about high ground. High ground to the Gladiators doesn't seem to matter at all. They're playing this war of attrition, this grind out fight. Not so bad so far, but now with Bunny sticking Bishu and removing the Diva from the situation, Surefour's going to get shoved back by Fate, who's low. Great Discord Orb usage there by Shaz to remove the tank. It is a tactical visor. The Valiant have to get ground. They cannot peek into this now that the Diva wasn't really present. Now Space gets to the point.
And Agilities pops his tactical visor. He thinks Surefour's running out. He doesn't have any more bullets left. Surefour able to take out Agility, so you get nothing out of your tac visor from the Los Angeles Valiant. Agilities will switch off to Genji here. Now you're going to have a full-on dive that comes out from the Valiant on D.
It's quite a defensive push for the Gladiators, isn't it? Really quite passive. Like you try and set Shawfall up with a pocket heal and Shaz next to him, and then your main tank's on the point. And you try and bait people to jump on a 76, and you sort of collapse from the point onto them.
If you get one of the tanks on the point, they can sit at that corner. It denies Custa or Kareev. I mean, Kareev can obviously heal from range. It kind of denies everything that Custa can do. But Kareev has to split his healing, right? I mean, he's got space on the point. Fate trying to dive into the middle of the street. It's not enough healing with Harmony or for both of those tanks. As long as the Gladiators extend that fight like they did, they were going to win that.
It's time for the long arm of the Outlaw, Matt. Shawfall coming in. Now just has to roll back again. He's a good dive target if the Valiant want to start a fight. McCree very vulnerable up close. But if he gets a chance to get that flash out, he's going to be feeling pretty good. Right now, you can see he's got very conservative position. He doesn't want to go too deep. Great response by Fisher here as well. Primal Rage knocking away the main tanks, giving Asher and Shawfall that space to work with. Transcendence healing is also in there. And the Gladiators are unscathed after that last dive. Now it's their chance to fight back.
They do lose Shaz, so it's a big self-destruct from Space over the top. Space trying to get back in his smack. Asher gets him weak, but you have to back out here. So if you're the Valiant, as they do have 2 players dying, it's going to be a spawn advantage here for the Gladiators. Maybe able to make something out of this.
The second attempt at the dive from the Valiant worked out very well. And now Agilities wants to cut it down. Big Goose has just got disintegrated. Shaz is missing as well. And this is the Dragon Blade we were looking for last map. Agility seems to have rummaged around in his toolkit and found it. Produced it with a flash. That's a nice little turn, but Ash has been doing work in the backline as well. Custer did get taken out of the mix. But that's a good response. The Valiant were down in numbers and down in momentum. Agilities quickly evens the playing field.
And I would say with Agilities and Bunny in the game, like this is their more explosive of the 2 combinations they can put together. Like Agilities is very aggressive on Genji, same with Bunny on Tracer. They're gonna put a ton of pressure here on the Gladiators. You look, I mean, Surefour's got a tough task at hand, right, as McCree try to withstand the punishment from these 2 players.
You have to be very sneaky now, Bunny. Can't get too close to McCree unless he gets flashed. There's the Deadeye. Bunny's caught out by that one. That wasn't supposed to happen at all. Bunny was supposed to be sneaking, breaking line of sight, but he got caught out by that ultimate and didn't have time to respond. Bunny is brought back to life here by Custer. Kareev now drops to the point to use the Transcendence, and Bishu's hoping to sow some discord in the back lines, separate some of these targets and pry out the weaker ones. Now up against the wall, he's found Custer. He's discorded. There's no way he's escaping this one. Trying to get away, and Fate's blown up. The Gladiators are really starting to rock on now, and it's just Space on the point. There's no stopping the Gladiators as they'll take seconds.
It was a great use of Primal Rage there from Fisher. As soon as Kareev pops Transcendence, he's able to just dash him so far away. It actually forced the rest of the Valiant to just dive in way too deep, more deep than they probably would have liked. And then the Gladiators are able to pick up those last kills to finish it off. So usually A to B, the easier of the 2 points to take. This will be difficult for the Gladiators, though.
I like Shawfall bringing the McCree out here. This last stage of the map, this cul-de-sac, as it were, gives him good sightlines if he can stay away from the dives. Good response by Bishu. Immediately peels back and Fate gets punished. Discord Orb plus a headshot from Shawfall accounts for a lot of the damage on that Winston, and Agilities is in trouble. He had to break line of sight to stay alive there, and Shawfall is not missing. A McCree that's on point is making life very, very hard for these tanks of the Valiant.
And you see McCree getting a lot of play here in Stage 3 when Mercy comes back and there's some of these different maps come into the pool. McCree definitely sees a lot more play as Shazly used Transcendence. They're just trying to get the payload around the corner here. Even Deadeye as well, but it's going to be a Dragon Blade from Agilities trying to cut down members. The Gladiators doesn't really get much.
Yeah, he had to back away. The Deadeye came out and Custer was felled by it. He does get the D-suit on Bishu. And now, yeah, that's going to be a very dead Shawfall. Agilities and Bunny both dive on that one. We didn't even see Bunny, but he was right with Agilities. Bishu's low. There's no point really picking off a mini DV here. It's not worth diving in. The Valiant identify that. They back out. Agilities has to dash away.
I think you see more McCree as a whole as well because he just punishes a little bit more of over-aggression than Widowmaker.
Well, he also punishes indecision because if you get people at like 30 meters in game and they're not sure whether to go forward or back, McCree just starts pounding them with a Peacemaker.
Yeah, and if you dive in on the McCree, you go it a little bit too deep and he's getting pocketed and he's able to land that flashbang on whether it's like a Winston, a Diva, any of the flankers. And that's going to be a man advantage for the team with the McCree.
Usually, though, he struggles to deal with a Winston and Diva or a Tracer and Winston. So 2 divers hit a McCree, he'll need peel. But that's what Bishu's been doing such a good job of so far in this map. He's been doubling back to protect his McCree and, of course, his Zenyatta and Mercy combo. So the Gladiators right now aren't sure how to proceed. They're just setting up at least. The payload isn't really moving. It's sort of stationary.
They didn't want to proceed because Custa uses his Valkyrie, thinks the pressure's coming in, and then they just wait. But it's a beautiful pulse on there from Bunny. Agility's cutting through players as well, as Agilities has yet another Dragon Blade here.
And for years, Bunny will tell you that he intended to stick to McCree with that one, but I think he's just looking for whatever he could get. Bobbing for apples. And he found one that was soon to be bruised. All right, so we got a Blade and a Transcendence here for the Valiant, so that's what they have to set up with. Surefour switches over to the Sombra here. Doesn't feel like the McCree's getting too much mileage. Perhaps he's feeling like he doesn't have enough room to breathe with this dive bearing down upon him.
Yeah, I think Sombra here, obviously, it'll be a little bit easier for Surefour to get behind enemy lines. They have not been able to get anywhere near Kareev and Custa when we've gone here from point B to C. So I think you'll be able to see Surefour get a little bit of extra pressure on those supports. Maybe it'll make life easier for the rest of his team.
Can Surefour get an EMP in 43 seconds? If he does, if he can, then the Valiant might be in trouble. But if, oh, that's a hack though, that'll do the job for the time being. Bunny can't really blink away and he gets jumped on by Bishu, great combination. Jump on the beleaguered Tracer who has no abilities to use in order to avoid certain death. And Agilities, yeah, you know it mate. He's going to be called on once again in a moment to try and finish this off. That's a beautiful self-destruct by Space, but on the low ground might have been better. I think he really intended to get it on the corner, and the payload's racing forward. Space is trying to hold Fisher at bay, who gets discarded. Now it's time for the Agility Dragon Blade. He's got one, and that's two. He's hacked up, so he can't dash and close the distance to the Sombra. He can still use health packs, but that one may have been hacked as well. Agilities may go down. No, he actually found Surefour in the periphery. That's a huge win, and now Bishu's left on his own to try and do something about this. Asher's going to go down. Overtime also will dissipate before anyone can get there. The Valiant put up a strong defense here on the point 3.
I would love to know how Agilities picks up that final kill on the Surefour after the Dragon Blade, because at that point he's hacked. So usually when you have a hacked Genji going up against a Sombra, and he's already at like half HP, that's usually a pretty easy kill for that Sombra. So something had to go sideways there for Surefour, not able to pick that up.
I believe Agilities was standing over a hacked health pack, so he couldn't have even picked that up. That's what I thought might have given him the edge there, but that's a clutch situation. Again, Genji can offload a large amount of burst damage. Let's see how this went down, Mel. Actually, the replay.
Yeah, I saw the mini he was hacked. So you see he's hacked here, actually going over towards the health pack. He gets so weak here. Oh, that's right out of the hack. Beautiful play.
Mechanically, that is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, Surefour really wanted to chase him down there, but again, a couple of melee attacks thrown in there. The headshot as well with the right-click shuriken really sealed the deal.
It's what you... It's like Agility is one of the more fun players to watch, at least in my opinion, in the league. Like, you can just see how mechanically skilled he is on heroes like Genji, and being a younger player in the league, you can imagine like how he can develop as a player into different roles, whether it be 76. We've seen his Pharah be pretty good, a pretty good Roadhog as well. I think he's a player with a huge amount of upside. That's why I think he remains on this Valiant roster. You look to the future, Agilities and Space are going to be the mainstays on this team.
And that's what the Valiant have always talked about. It's a key component of their philosophy as a team, is to build a sustainable future. Now, Agilities actually has, again, about 30% of his team's damage, so he's really starting to kick it into another gear. 11 final blows on that one half. So the Valiant now got to be feeling okay about this. The problem was, on the first map, is that the same thing happened. The Gladiators fell slightly short of capturing the last point or finishing the map, and then the Valiant were like, okay, all we need to do is finish it. But then the defense from the Gladiators was so good that the Valiant couldn't break through it. They have to get rolling here, and they have to get rolling early. This dive really needs to hit the sweet spot.
We'll see how clean it is with Bunny in the lineup. Usually when we saw Bunny, it was with Soon, right? They were playing the Widowmaker, and Soon was playing Free as well, and Bunny was just going to stay on Tracer. They must have really liked what they saw with Bunny, and now they kind of got the idea of, okay, we'd like to see what it's like with Agility's playing Genji. Agility's already up to 40% on Dragon Blade. Haven't really seen much happen yet.
Bunny's gotten behind enemy lines here, so he's currently dueling out at the moment with Asher, trying to get up. Kareev goes down. Asher actually found Kareev playing in the lower levels of that right side building, and now Bunny's going to get jumped upon here. He needs to get out. You can see he's out of blinks and has no recall, so he had to take the health pack. Custer going down though, so Fisher found his mark. Again, that raw skill brings in that tank roll. It's be hard for the Valiant to answer sometimes.
And that's the positioning you wanted out of Bunny, to get behind enemy lines, because like we've heard when he was on Seoul Dynasty and whatnot, he plays a very individual style.
Yeah.
He's always kind of by himself, lurking, not really going to play around his tanks too much. So.
But it's great because he doesn't require many resources to be committed to him to be effective. That's a hallmark of a great Tracer. You know what the hallmark of good Genji is? Hit people with Dragon Blade! But no, he doesn't manage to get in there. The healing was very good. The Bionic Field drop by Surefour kept him alive a little bit longer. But Shaz was eventually picked up by Fate because, of course, Agilities wasn't the only man going on that dive. Shaz is back.
Bishu's being killed by Big Goose up in the distance, but the Valiant are playing on this top corner here. They're not letting the Gladiators get close enough to the point. Bishu eventually will have to commit fully, and he doesn't know who's up on the high ground. Ash is up there. He's forced to recall early, and now it's on for young and old. The Valiant's still looking very good in this fight. Pulse bomb may not be necessary here. Big Goose is low, one more hit, and Bunny's found the mercy.
Yeah, they were just having Asher dart to the point to stall it out a little bit because Bishu was trying to get his self-destruct. You're also trying to let Fissure get his primal rage if he was able to stay alive a little bit longer. But neither of those end up paying off. It'll be the Valiant who take point A.
So the difference here is that the Valiant actually, instead of the Gladiators who play low ground and play like a drawn-out sort of, you know, tit-for-tat war of attrition style thing, the Valiant try and take high ground, they push Bunny to flank in, and they move on to the point. Similarly to the Gladiators, they force them to come in, stand and deliver, and again, the Gladiators were already down 2 players because the dive, which is the Gladiators didn't use, was there for the Valiant. They had Agilities and Fate go in to get those 2 early kills. Look at this guy. He's like Soon 2.0.
Yeah.
When we talk about Soon always having to flank and be sneaky and cheeky, Bunny is in a different postcode.
And when you combo that with Agility, it's very hard to keep track of these 2 players. There'll be Transcendence used a little bit earlier than Shaz probably would have liked. The Sherford does use his Tactical Visor. You're going to see a self-destruct thrown over the top. Okay, so that's pretty sick. They use a self-destruct over the top to force those players inside to that Dragon Blade. Really nice play there from the Valiant.
And you know what, you can have an elaborate setup as you like, but Agilities, the fact of the matter is this man is hitting all of the shots, and the Dragon Blades have been very efficient from him. At least 1 kill per, which is big. He's got 1.6 kills per Dragon Blade on this map.
And I mean, he's getting a Dragon Blade every minute pretty much. It's very difficult to stop that. Dragon Blade, a very powerful ultimate ability. It forces the other team to invest a lot of their support ultimates just to combat it. And even if you don't have those support ultimates, it's going to be a win fight.
Okay, Valkyrie to open the fight here for the Gladiators. They're serious about trying to hold this one. Extra healing goes a long way, and Bunny's Pulse Bomb gets stuck to the door jam, so doesn't really find any target. But Shaz lurking. Can he win the 1v1? He needs to deal with Bunny. Bunny's forced to recall. Good combination and good peel back from Shore4, but there's more than where Bunny came from. Agilities dives in just to seal the deal, and Shaz is no more. Granted, Matt, he didn't have any Transcendence to use there, but it's still a big threat. 1-for-1 trade in the course of the fight. It's been a very slow roll, but Agilities almost has another Dragon Blade. He's going to go for it as well. In the backline, you can see him looking for targets there. He can't quite get to Big Goose, but now he can. He got the elimination and the dash reset, and he's gone in. Shore4's down. Bishu's going to get desuited, take it out himself. Asher now has a Pulse Bomb, but it'll probably save it. There's no point using it here. Second checkpoint, Los Angeles Valiant. 4 minutes left in the half.
It almost makes you wonder, like, why did you kind of sit him in stage 2 with how good his Genji is? Right now, it's sitting at 28 limbs, 18 final blows, 11 Dragon Blade kills. Agility's absolutely dominating this game on Navani. Sherford will have an EMP here, so you'll be able to use his EMP a little bit early.
2 deaths.
Well, they have to get Kareem with his EMP, right? Because he has Transcendence. Right?
Look how far back he's sitting. Shore4 can't get to him, there's no way. However, Fate gets bursted down very quickly. Yeah, so it's not all bad. They allow the EMP to come out. And that's all well and good, but the problem with Sombra is sometimes is that she can charge up that EMP very quickly, Matt. Granted, not as quick as it used to be when you gained ultimate percentage from health packs being hacked and used. But it's all well and good just to let a fight be over. But if Shore4's good enough, he can have one in the next fight if he's proactive in terms of harassing the backlines and getting the charge up. He's hacked Agilities.
You're going to be able to kind of alternate these, though, right? If you can get by for the Gladiators with using 1 support ultimate, then you can come back in the next fight, probably have an EMP plus 1 support ultimate. It puts the Valiant in a really tough spot trying to go through his choke.
Fissure getting down to half means that the Gladiators have to back up for a moment. You see he's now back to full. But for that second, there was a window, an opening. Shore4's going to go into EMP here, just looking to try and pick up some kills. For some reason, perhaps Kareem thought he had the EMP. He goes for the Transcendence now. Defensive use of that one. The Dragon Blade yet again from Agilities. This time it's going to be hard for him to find anything, Matt. Yeah, Transcendence made it impossible for the Dragon Blade to cut through. It was blunted now on that extra durability that the Gladiators had. With Asher being brought back to life, there's a man disadvantage for the Los Angeles Valiant. But they found Big Goose and Shaz. This could be the opening they're looking for. Fissure has to find Kareem here. If he dies, it's going to be devastating for the Gladiators. They needed to pick up and respond and try and trade some supports, but instead they lost both. And both of the Valiant's healers are still up. This is huge. Momentum now with the Los Angeles Valiant.
You see a lot of Mercy play. It's going to be a Valkyrie that comes out from Custa, keeps everybody alive. Sherford does have an EMP. That's why you see the Valiant. They're only pushing the cart with 1 player. They don't want everybody to get hit with this big EMP.
And that's a pretty good use of it. Only Asher and Fate are actually affected by it, but it's still enough to remove the Winston from the equation. And I don't think the Valiant want to fight without him. Fate's a big caller on this team, and Fisher found Kareev on his own up on that high ground. Nicely done. And the hack is just for good measure. Now Space will be staggered for a couple of seconds, which is frustrating at this point in the game.
Yeah, they're just gonna tickle him a little bit. There you go.
What's the 5 finger stay to the face?
His agility is getting close to attack visor. He did switch off of Genji to go to 76 here. But you need to get Bishu demec. Bishu will have a self-destruct to stay alive a little bit longer. You're going to have both support ults here for both teams. It's going to be a big fight. Depending on how this goes, Mitch, this may be the final actual fight here for the Valiant.
Shaz has also farmed his Transcendence incredibly fast, man. He has another one right now. Frustrating for the Valiant because Agilities does absolutely nothing in the presence of that Zenyatta ultimate. Even with Tactical Visor, there's 2 things he's got to get rid of. Self-destruct around the corner, Agilities quickly heading for the hills. He avoids the blast, as does Custer. Here comes Attack Visor, but there's a shield in the way and a Transcendence. So again, you just trade out those ultimates. You try not to get too aggressive behind this one. Oh, he got a freebie! Asher was peeking around. I don't think he expected Agilities to appear, and now it's going to be the start of the fight. Shorefall trying to go into the backline, but he used the Translocator into the blast of the self-destruct. Now Bishu's trying to make amends and trying to stall out some time, but he's going to get Pulse Bomb. The burst damage is too much for him to deal with. There it is, Bishu down. Kareev removes him with a headshot, and now Asher's looking to try and get into the back line. And the payload, it's moving forward. There's no one there for the Gladiators, but the EMP might have solved this issue. 4 players are hacked up for Los Angeles Gladiators. They can't do anything. Only sit back and look in dismay as the rest of their team are cut down to size. 7 seconds left. Fisher diving on in now. It's going to be a recall for Asher, but Fate is there. Fisher with the primal rays, flailing fists of fury. Just to really make life hard. He will drop though, and this could be dangerous now. We're here at Tactical Visor. That's Agilities coming forward. Is one matter hack on towards Fate. There is a heal for Custer though. He's pocketing the Winston. Transcendence now thrown into the mix. A self-destruct into the back. Agilities has to run, but he's low. Transcendence there for the Gladiators, just keeping them up and alive. Agilities finally falls now. Bunny off toward the left-hand side, and Custer and Space sticking together on the payload. Shorefall gets an aerial hack. Bishu desuited, taken down over the point, and Custer is hacked, but he can still heal. He can still fly around. The Mercy's so important right now for the Valiant, and they're going to break through. Fish is down. Ash has been removed for the fight, and Los Angeles get there. Wings out. What an intense fight. That kind of skill is what you don't see every day. The tenacity to stay in a fight when you have 4 players hacked up.
And if the desk doesn't show the last maybe 15 seconds from Bunny's POV, they're just not doing it right. He just mows down everybody there towards the end. Absolutely incredible tracer play from him, picking up the kills, avoiding the self-destruct, able to stay alive on the point for an extended period of time, helping the Valiant get that win.
Man, this is a game of inches. It's the little things, the 1%ers. Agility's made such a massive difference, and the 76 pick-offs towards the end were very important. I'm going to go pass out for a bit, and we're going to half-time. What a match this has been so far, LA.
Let's go. The Sombra is one. Sombra one. Okay. Point. I got point. Okay. I got flank. I'm gonna push in the corner. Touch mine. Divide it up. Over. I'm on Diva. Point. Sombra. Diva. Tracer one. Tracer one. Maybe. Nice, guys.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone.
Anubis, the Valiant managed to bounce back on Numbani. We're all locked up 1-1.5, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the desk. Golden Boy here alongside with Bren and Crumbs. And gentlemen, what a matchup this has turned out to be. And also, I just got to say, Bren, you said that this was going to be a clean 4-0 for the Valiant.
I did not
You said
say
that. You said that in
I
confidence to
did not
me,
say that,
and now
but
I am leaving it out for the crowd.
Listen, I'll take responsibility for the first time in my life, and I'll admit, right, that I was underestimating Gladiators because all the statistics were lining up in favor of Valiant. The new player additions, Valiant were looking honestly quite spicy at the moment, whereas Gladiators a little bit meh. But I'm so impressed. I am dead impressed with Gladiators because you can tell from the way they're playing, they put in the prep into this match, and they are not letting off at all. I mean, Valiant are feeling the pressure here because they're currently underperforming where I was expecting.
Clean 4-0 is what Brent said to me.
No,
that's what he said to me in confidence.
I heard it.
Hey, you heard it too? That's right. Well, you know what? You know what, man? I need some knowledge. I need some knowledge. I need some insights powered by Intel. Give me Crumbs. What you got?
That's exactly what we got here because the first map, Temple of Anubis, is all about defense between these two teams. And the Gladiators put up an amazing defense, and that was very unexpected. So let's take a look at what they have here. So they're set up in the low ground in a 3-in-3 right here. And so the most fragile member is going to be the Widowmaker. But what the Valiant want to do is they want to pincer in on somebody. So you've got Tracer for one side. She's going to be able to go this way, and alongside the rest of the squad, they can focus on these guys. But because of the Diva, Winston, and Genji's mobility, they can also go around and attack this part of the map. And same thing with Soon, with 3 blinks. So what the Gladiators need to do here is make sure that the Widowmaker and the Junkrat maintain as long of a distance as possible in order for them to be safe and sound. Make sure that the dive, you can tell it so that they're not within range of getting leaped. And as soon as the Winston jumps in, here's where the Gladiators go for a nice little move. Surefour moves around to the side, and so now he has a big gap between anybody else, and it's only the Tracer that he has to worry about, but he has Shaz and Big Goose right here to help him out. And so take a look at what they do. They wait patiently. They're not in any threat of being dove, so they don't have to react. This is the defensive team. You don't do anything. You let the attacking team go for the pounce. And right here, bam, immediately Fate jumps in. Bishu goes onto him. Hydration pulls back. Big Goose helped Surefour and Shaz. He's literally as far back as possible. He's getting away from this. Look at what Kareev is doing. What is Kareev doing? He's got no. He can't do anything.
Put a question mark. Question mark right there.
Question mark, Kareev.
I like that.
Dead right there. And so this dive happens. Immediately they peel back. They kill Fate. Everything goes well for them. And this is because they respected the distances that they had.
I love it.
Between the Valiant, and it played out so clean between these and the individual picks that this team got. The defense was perfect.
This is night and day from when they played against Seoul. If you go back and revisit the match that they were playing against Seoul, they got absolutely rolled on Anubis and similarly on Junkertown, which we're getting to a little bit later. But on Anubis in particular, I was a little bit upset when I saw Gladiators setting up on a low ground. I was like, they're doing this again. It didn't work out for them last time, but they focused on not letting Valiant set up at all. Fate was trying to go into the back lines. They had Soon flanking around. They knew what to do. They set up the positioning perfectly to not let them get any space whatsoever.
Yeah, they had a clear plan and just a great hold there from the Gladiators. One thing I will say, Crumbs, got to step up your arrow drawing game, bro.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I missed one arrow, right?
To be fair,
one arrow.
Struggle City, population U, bro.
1 out of 5, all right? That's the same thing with my predictions. I've got elbow 1 wrong. Come on, give me
so,
1 wrong arrow.
Moving forward, though, to Numbani, this was the opportunity we thought we were going to see Gladiators kind of roll that momentum going into this, but instead it will be all wings out. Bren, the Valiant, looked dominant.
Yeah, well, I mean, dominant is one word for it, but I felt like Gladiators were applying a lot of pressure to Valiant in this game. They were struggling to a degree because Gladiators really just slammed this one home very quickly, very rapidly, all the way to this 3rd checkpoint. But right here is where they struggled, right? And now it moved in. The role swapped around a little bit, and I noticed that Gladiators, maybe they weren't as prepared for this map in particular compared to Anubis. They definitely seemed to do their homework on that one because Valiant were able to just about clutch it in the end. But again, very hard-fought victory straight into the overtime push.
I will say, though, I felt like watching this final push out of the Valiant that the Gladiators threw it. I think that the Gladiators had it, and what ended up happening was Fissure overextended a little bit, trying to take somebody out, but he was already getting pocketed by the Mercy, so a primal raging Winston basically took out 600 of his own HP for no real reason except to keep people zoned out before the OT was already hitting. So I think that LA Gladiators really should have had a 2-0 lead coming into the half.
But one player, though, I really want to highlight, gentlemen, is Agilities, because I feel like we were seeing that old Agilities, the guy who busted out the blade and got 6Ks Agilities, Brent. He was definitely doing a better Brenji impression than you.
Okay, all right,
but
listen.
like if Brenji was actually a good player.
You want to throw out the Brenji references like that? I got, okay, I can accept it, all right? It made the top post, it was embarrassing. Let's move on. Agilities, though, that's a guy that you want to talk about, right? Because he pulls out a Genji and it's a little bit scary. And, you know, Gladiators, they made attempts once again to shut him down. They were putting Surefour onto the Sombra. They were prioritizing the hacks onto him as opposed to the tanks. And it was working, you know, ever so slightly. But, I mean, again, Agilities has that raw mechanical skill that you can't really account for. And even when he was getting hacked up, he was still building up rapid blades, still surviving in situations where he probably shouldn't have. So, I mean, kudos to him. You know, he played incredibly well. And I think he really did actually play a large part in securing that last map for them.
Oh, man, this has just been an incredible game so far. I feel a little lucky. My first game back in the Overwatch League, and this is what I'm treated to. Oh, so happy.
It's a good one.
So happy. That's right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your insight. Yes. Thank you so much for your insight. But coming up next.
I'm not touching those.
We got you. No, join hands. Join hands.
I know how you eat.
Go.
Get involved.
Let's go.
Right now.
Should he join our hands right now? Everyone, you should join hands.
Come on, Krabs.
Let's go, Poppy.
Come on. Yeah.
Yes! We did it! All right, folks, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we have plenty more action to come. Ilios, Junkertown, don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are starting this week off with a banger as we're all tied up in this matchup between the Valiant and the LA Gladiators, 1-1. And yo, I gotta say, this has been the loudest that the Blizzard Arena has been since I started working here at the Overwatch League. These guys are turned. They're mad turned. Also, you know, I'm wondering going into the second match if the Valiant are going to use, or the Gladiators rather, are going to use their super secret agent, Silk Thread. I feel like he has a couple of lines of input on how they can overcome this Valiant mountain that they're climbing today. But hey, we'll find out soon. We got a whole nother half to get into. These guys are mad turned. So let's go ahead and get back into the matchup with our casters, Uber and Mr. X.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to the Blizzard Arena, one that's been painted equal parts purple and green gold today. Silk Thread. That's a good name to bring up here. A player that kind of knew the ins and outs of the Valiant, at least back in that previous permutation. Now it's different. A player that's been very... Oh, there you go! It's Ted Wang! He's back!
So he will play here on Ilios. If you remember back, they used to use Hydration on this map, and the issue was that they wanted Asher to play Widowmaker, but then Hydration doesn't really play Tracer. Shaz ends up playing Tracer towards the end as Hydration played Lucio. Soon will come back in for Bunny. Silk Thread gives them the option to still play some of the stuff that you would have saw Hydration play, whether it's like Pharah or Genji, but then also if it goes to Ruins, it allows him to play Tracer. They don't have to put Shaz on Tracer and do something weird.
Because they're running Asher in this lineup, it's possible that Silk Thread plays Widow on that map.
It's possible. I mean, that is also a possibility. Agility's still be in the lineup here for the Valiant. He's had a very good first two maps.
He's been incredible today. Absolutely incredible. And look, and I'll be honest, Soon's back in the lineup now. He struggled to make an impact, especially in the second half of Anubis, our first map. He was very quiet. And the only reason, really, that the Valiant managed to stave off the Gladiators for so long was because of agility. So he's playing incredibly well, and we're going to get ourselves an old Thrash and Throwdown here on the Pharahs. It's going to be an airborne battle between Silk Thread and Agilities. And we haven't seen a ton of Silk Thread's Pharah in the past. It's not something that you generally think of when someone says his name.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it all plays out here. It will be the pharmacies after this guy. We'll see Custer on that Lucio as well, which is something he's transitioned more towards recently.
Well, we know what the Valiant liked about Silk Thread when he was on their team originally. He could play a lot of the hit scan heroes like your Soldier 76, your Widowmaker, your McCree, but then also play projectiles at a pretty high level as well. So now you're seeing him play a projectile hero like Pharah, just putting down some damage as he's not really too concerned with agilities right now. You know, he goes for one rocket shot just to keep him honest.
But you can see he's worried because he quickly makes sure he's not too close to the wall. He uses his rocket pack to get up as quickly as he can. So the Battle of the Tanks is won out by Fate here to begin. And now the Asher barrels his way out of the map. It's soon to fight him. So two important picks for the Valiant in a 5v4 scenario. And now that it will push the Gladiators off the point. They lack the numbers to really contest, so they have to wait.
And usually you look at that first fight with the Pharahs, and you know, the big thing is, it's like, okay, did any of the Pharahs die during that? No, none of the Pharahs took each other out or whatnot. And then you look at the damage numbers, right? Right now, Silk Thread doing more damage than agility. Silk Thread good for 34% of team damage. But the Gladiators not able to follow up on any of those kills.
Look at that from Fisher, that was so nice. He used the jump to get away. The bubble was put down so soon, couldn't get that extra 100 damage you need to sort of, well, also because of armor, to remove the Winston. Nicely done by him to stay alive in our space. Wants himself a bit of that one, he will get stuck and desuited. But he found Fisher, and Soon found Big Goose. So Soon's having a much better map so far as well. The Pharahs almost don't seem to be playing as big a part, but we just saw Silk Thread off screen remove agilities in the 1v1. Before going down to Kareev, of course, in Valkyrie mode, Caduceus blasted the man's going ham, and now a cheeky resurrect. He's lucky to be alive, and he does eventually fall to Shaz, who goes for a blaster as well.
It's a big res on the Fate. He has Primal Rage, so he can extend the point in favor of the Valiant for a very long time, as Soon uses Pulse Bomb, uses Recall already, as the Valiant doing a very nice job extending this. Fade off to the side, finds Big Goose alone. Big play, takes out Big Goose, and he can trust Soon to stay alive on the point long enough to be able to go chase that kill down.
Right, now Silk Thread looks to the ground. Again, the Pharah's role in this map is often just to pound the enemy tanks more than the other Pharah and to set up a good dive or get a good pick scenario. Silk Thread, that's wishful thinking. He actually tries it, and he does it! He Silk Threads the needle on agility, straight up in his face. So somehow surviving that despite being very vulnerable using that barrage. His Pharah's looking very good.
When that res comes through on the Fate when he has Primal Rage, the Valiant are about like 37% in terms of how much control of the point they have. By getting that res off on the Fate and then Soon able to stay alive for long enough, they're able to bring that one up all the way to 84%. It's a huge win there for the Valiant. Also, you see they're able to run Mercy and Lucia. This is something they didn't really do when Unko was on the team. They would have had to bring Verbo in, so you see the benefits of that trade of Custa for Unko now.
Custa's a newer Lucio sort of pickup though. You know, he hasn't played it as much in the past compared to the others. supports. But again, that sound barrier pretty good. 6 people benefiting from that one. Big stick on Fisher, but he's in primal rage, so we won't worry about it much for the time being. Now he's getting a little bit low. You see Fate there making a pancake out of Issue off in the distance. And now it's going to be a sound barrier out for the Gladiators, but only 3 players benefit from that one. Fisher's got a lot of work to do. He's forced to jump out, though. The Valiant are just trading damage far better in these last couple of fights, forcing the Gladiators out of position, lest they lose players they desperately need right now.
Yeah, but the Valiant don't push on through and eliminate the rest of these members, so the Gladiators are able to stall this out yet again. It'll be Fate using Primal Rage, trying to swing this one back in the Valiant's favor. The point still controlled by the Gladiators.
We missed that. Silk Thread and Agilities killed each other. They both hit each other with the first video rocket, and they both hit each other with the second. So it's like dark matter and normal matter. They just annihilated each other.
The Valiants are in a bad spot here, Mitch. No support ults. Going up against Shaz, who will have his Valkyrie here.
I mean, if
Agilities also the barrage.
If Agilities gets a good barrage here, and maybe Silk Thread doesn't, it doesn't matter if you've got a Valkyrie or not. See what Agilities can do. I think he realizes, oh, that's a big hit on Silk Thread from a long way away. Unfortunately, they're very hard to follow up. It's unlikely that Lightning's going to strike twice in that regard. But this is where the battle begins. It begins with the Pharaohs. See, you see he's trying to pound down Fisher. He's trying to pound down Vishu. Make it easier for his tanks to dive on. That's one hit. He needs one more. Silk Thread's in trouble. He's being threatened. Agility to quick turn away, and he backs out. Another hit. A second direct hit. That's what they're looking for now. It'll be probably a resurrected tense here, but he's not going to let that happen. Barrage used there, and it's wasted. Vishu takes down Agilities. Unbelievable. He did that with a Bunny Blaster, if I'm not mistaken. From the ground, or in midair, no less. Space, though. A big double self-destruct on Silk Thread and Fisher just after he was brought back into the fight. That was the edge the Valiant needed here. And despite not having the support ultimates, Matt, it didn't seem to matter.
Oh. The Valiant able to flip the point back to big plays by Agilities. He's going to wait in the spawn so Kareev and him can get back to this pretty quick. Now the support advantage is going to be with the Valiant, right? Custa should be able to stay alive long enough to get his sound barrier, and you'll also see Kareem most likely get his Valkyrie during this.
Sound barrier, though, that's a big start here for the Gladiators. Pulse Bomb found Custa. Unfortunately, Soon couldn't reciprocate. He does at least get the D-suit on Vishu, and he finds the kill. That's important. Diva missing, and the other remaining tank for the Gladiators is very low and needs some help. But in the background, Silk Thread has done just what Soon did. He removed space and his spec from the fight. There's no Divas right now. Barrage at close range. Silk Thread kills him. He's not on the point, though. He connects, but it doesn't matter. There was no boots on the ground for the Gladiators. And it will go to the Valiant there in that first round. I know, I feel you guys. I feel you guys. Valiant take the first round.
That's a tough one to lose.
Is that a C9?
I don't even know if that category is for a C9. This is going to be the Bishu kill onto Agilities that you were talking about. Throws us off the shot.
We love it.
Takes him out on the way down. It's a very difficult play to pull off. It's, you know, I saw Fisher actually had some comments, you know, regarding Bishu, thinking that, you know, next year, right, a lot of teams are going to want Bishu. Very good off tank. You know, can translate mid-game as well, which is something not many players can do.
Well,
it's really impressive.
To a large degree, he enables the team to take Korean pickups and integrate them immediately because he acts as the sounding board on a translator.
And I mean, imagine how difficult it is to just manage, obviously, what you need to do in game in such a pivotal role like Diva, right? You know, whether you're appealing for supports or whatnot. Oh, and also potentially translate for tanks in DPS. It's extremely impressive he's able to still keep his play up while doing all of that.
And that's what makes him a high-value player. It's more than just meet the eye here in the Overwatch League quite often, ladies and gentlemen. Agilities meets his demise. He goes up over the edge. Silk Thread connected with him. And I've got to say, I'm very impressed with Silk Thread so far. He has been huge. 7 final blows for him. Agilities actually only has 2 final blows from that last map in general.
Yeah, it's not a great Pharah performance from Agilities. And I guess if you're the Valiant, where do you go? I mean, does Agilities play 76? Do you try and have Soon play one of the hit scan roles? But then you get into that issue, then you don't have that Tracer play, right?
The Pharah v Pharah duel is 5-2 in favor of Silk Thread. And Agility's only kills have come from Silk Thread. They're the only time he's actually found final blows so far. So you can see that outside of the Pharah battle, the impact is a little bit harder to quantify from Agilities. He's definitely not outputting as much damage as you would expect. I mean, but you'd expect that, right? He's dealing with a lot of tanks, and he's also playing Pharah. He's trying to stay safe at the same time.
You also have Silk Thread, actually, who's you know, building up that rocket barrage about 30 seconds faster than Silk Thread than Agilities as well. So Silk Thread doing a nice job building up towards that rocket barrage rather quickly.
More damage.
Be Shaz using a Transcendent, keeping everybody topped up as it was Soon in the backline trying to cause some problems.
Not so good though. Soon obviously the back cap king. tough to do it on your own, though. Quite often, the objective is not to backcap the point, but to draw the controlling team back towards a point to try and deal with that.
And we're already at 60% for the Gladiators. This has gone by very quick. The Valiant really haven't had an opportunity to attack this point at all, and this is why you see a lot of times teams, if the Pharaoh doesn't work out at the beginning, they switch off of it. Shaz gets instantly deleted. You had Fate and Soon jump right on top of him.
Yeah, for some reason, I think Bishu and Fisher were busy because Fate and Soon stuck onto the point with Shaz alone and managed to find him there. Perhaps they didn't notice them sneaking around. Oh no, Shaz has got over the edge! Fate send him flying! And now Soon, again, can work a lot more. Doesn't have to worry about trying to go for this end. Who's his next target? Probably some tank damage he'd like to get done right now as the cleanup begins. And both Fisher and Bishu were so low on health. The Valiant finally break back in and heavily off the back of Soon and Fate, plonking themselves on the point and finding a Zenyatta on his own.
Yeah, both support ults not up for the Gladiators here. So I think you look at this next fight, maybe try and force out Sound Barrier, come back the next fight, and all you need is one fight to go your way and you're going to win this point.
100%. Valiant have to bring a lot back. In fact, in the first stage, by the way, on Well, the Gladiators had about 12 more final blows than the Valiant. They got more kills, it just wasn't enough. So there's much more than meets the eye in that regard as well. Fisher's low. Does he have healing nearby? No, and Soon was just going to keep plugging those shots into him. Soon has a recall, and he'll use it now, just for safety. It also lets him get an eye on where Shaz and Asher were hiding. And that'll be another fight one. Again, with a Pharaoh composition, Matt, it seems like you could kind of take the fight away from the point as the team in control and try and force into the enemy chokes as they approach and beat them there.
Yeah, they use the Sound Barrier aggressively. They push on through. They're able to pick up a few members of the Gladiators. And then Kassa just lets Kareem soak up all that healing. You know, he gets about solid 30 to 40% towards his Valkyrie off of that. So trying to build that Valkyrie rather quickly. As you imagine Shaz being alive for a little bit longer. Oh, no, not going to happen there. I was going to say he's going to build up towards that Transcendence very quick. Shaz does a great job of it. The res comes in from Big Goose, but you see everybody from the Valiant jump right on top of him.
And it's fine. Valiant are saying to themselves, okay, you want to res Shaz? We're going to kill the Mercy who's getting the Resurrect. They're going to trade out 1 for 1. Either way, the Valiant remain one player ahead. And they're pushing, barreling deep into enemy territory. Fisher getting staggered there is really bad. That is not good.
No. It's going to allow Kareem to get his Valkyrie. So you'll have Valkyrie versus both support. You're going to have all 6 ultimates up here for the Gladiators. Now, they've taken so much time to build up these ultimates, they're only going to give themselves one chance at breaking this.
I'm still surprised, though, if the Gladiators sort of lose this fight. They need to get to the point, though. They want to use their ultimates on the point, not as they approach the point. So that's what the Valiant want to do. Force out these Transcendences, these Valkyries, before the Gladiators can actually set up to fight in that close quarters environment. There's the Trans. You can see it's up very high in the sky. Silk Thread, though, being targeted. Space got him with the self-destruct. That's the pick. Space goes down, though. Big Goose actually found it with a headshot. It was after Space got desuited, the Caduceus Blaster. We see some real battle mercies in this game, and Fisher's going to struggle. Agilities comes in from the top. He's like Santa. He's not the kind of guy you don't want to eat your milk and cookies. And as Fate gets himself the Piranha Rage, Big Goose is down. Fate now drops into the front of the map, gets a bit of extra damage, forcing the recall on Asher. No, that's the recall force, but he's done now. There's no way he can get away. Clambering over the top with the Valiant. What a comeback in that stage 2 to win the map. We have incredible mercies going head-to-head. Farah's dominating the game. Top-tier main tanks and off-tanks. The Diva battle is so sick. Everything you can want is right here.
For me, it's Space on that map. You know, we talked a lot about how Echo, potentially the best off-tank in the Overwatch League. Didn't really see a lot of competition for him. I think Space is making a pretty good case that he's right up there with Mecco as the best off-tank in the Overwatch League. 21 limbs. 10 final blows, some big self-destruct kills as well.
We got your thrills, spills, kills and explosions right here at the Overwatch League, ladies and gentlemen. Keep it locked to this channel. We'll be back now with map 4. It may be the final map. We'll see if the Gladiators can bring it back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Let's get it.
We got a packed house here in the Blizzard Arena.
It's time. Soon takes him out. Gamsu gonna go primal raid. Kobe comes in.
4K, more hydration.
And now Jester can go to town.
Libero getting all the kills right now. It's crunch time.
They need to be ready to bring out the A game.
They've got such incredible talent in this roster, and they are not holding back.
Oh, here we go. Who would have thought this would be so close?
No way.
Yes, it's happening. All the good stuff. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the battle for Los Angeles. 4th map, just around the corner, and Elos was incredible. A very, very close affair.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the Valiant were way behind the 8 ball in that second stage on Lighthouse, and they brought it back with some incredible play. Not a lot of fighting happened around the point. You see these Pharaohs often being used to try and fight closer to the enemy spawn and make it very costly, forcing them to pay a heavy toll to advance, to actually contest.
Yeah, and the Valiant played really aggressive and fast, obviously, behind Custa's Lucio. We have some subs coming in for potentially our final map in this series. You have Surefour coming back in the game for Silk Thread. You'll also have Hydration, who will come into the game here for the Los Angeles Gladiators. This tells me Surefour, you'll see some Widowmaker. Hydration, you'll probably see some Junkrat. He can also play some tanks as well. So a lot of different things the Gladiators can do with this lineup. The Gladiators have been a team, Mitch, though, that has committed to that Bastion still on the payload. On
Really
offense.
tried to make it work.
A lot of teams have gone away from it. They've committed to staying with that playstyle.
And I've been asked multiple times, I haven't cleared this with my superiors actually, to cast a Junkatown match in my proper Australian accent. I'm not going to do it today because I feel like this is an important match and I want to try and give you the action. But for those who've been asking, we'll get there at some point. But yeah, so Surefour, Widowmaker, really big pick obviously for him. Soon can fill that same role. We expect to see a lot of that here. If you're not playing at least one sniper on the attack on this map, you're probably doing it wrong. You can play that around a Bastion if you feel like it. But yes, the Gladiators have always put Shaz on that Bastion. Do you feel like that's outdated? Do you feel like that needs to go?
It has been. It's been outdated for a while. And I think what you see them do is they just stick on it a little bit too long when it doesn't work. And I think that's the big thing, right? The Bastion strat is great when you get Bastion set up on the payload and you're just kind of mowing people down and pushing on through. It's when you get stopped. That's when you have to make switches. The issue is, and I can understand why they stay on it, it's because you're building up ultimate percentage. You don't want to switch out 4 or 5 players and reset everything. Then you put yourself so far behind. But sometimes you just kind of have to bite the bullet, do it a little bit earlier than you would have liked.
The Los Angeles Gladiators will be the players to set the pace here. And yes, the Bastion has returned and the pirate ship has left its moorings. And let's see now how the Valiant respond to this. This shouldn't shock them or surprise them to a great degree. They have good shield pressure, but Surefour has very good soon pressure. He's down and resurrected immediately.
You have Kareem playing Roadhog here, so it's going to be a solo support on both teams. Be both Mercies. So you want to let them get to this corner, and that's where the Junkrat can really be problematic for that Bastion. You can start going over the buildings, getting some shots. You see agilities there. Putting down some shots. Shez is in an awful position here.
He's just trolling him. He's fine. How are we going to survive it? He was healing himself, of course, while he was in recon mode, and Surefour was getting extra damage into Kareem.
Why aren't they just...
Yo, Shaz now just maxing, relaxing, back behind the combi van there. You can see him. He's got protection as well. This has gone horribly wrong for the Los Angeles Valiant, and the Gladiators are snowballing out of control on this first point. They didn't take the advantage, I suppose, of Shaz being so close to them. They couldn't dive on him properly. They just tried to pick away at him, man. It doesn't work. And the Valiant definitely egg on their face after that play.
Shaz still set up here on Bastion. He's not even set up on the cart right now. He's just kind of running around. Now he'll get set up on the payload. He's getting close to some ultimates, but a good first attack. So this is why I said the benefits of it, right, is when you start to get going as Bastion on the payload, it's difficult to stop. Agility says a Riptire, you need that ultimate to come in big. There'll be Valkyrie and Infrasight here used by the Gladiators. They want to get vision, so you want to get vision on that tire.
Surefour's been out there playing the Halloween special a bit too much, Matt. Picks off the Riptire. Bishop being desuited now, and Shaz is not under any threat. Look, the Valiant take the high ground. They might try and rotate back around and drop on the Bastion, but that's still dangerous. The payload's been moving for the most part. With agilities going down to Shaz, that's a big problem now for LA. They lack shield pressure. Now it's going to be much easier for Fisher to keep his barriers up at all times. Hydration, though, is felled by the self-destruct.
This should get res right back up, though, as Big Goose plays in a good position, stays alive long enough as Now, the payload's still moving. It was a decent fight for the Valiant. They're able to pick up a few kills, but the payload's still advancing here. Bishu will get hooked on in, makes it back to the rest of his team. But you see this Bastion coming around the corner. The Orisa barrier is just right in front of him. They'll put down so much damage. They do get Surfboard, but here's going to be tank mode from Shaz.
Yeah, look at that. Look at the whole hog as well. This makes it a little bit hard for Shaz to get close enough to actually predict these rockets as well as he would otherwise like. So we just sort of take some pot shots from long range. Now we'll have to back away. Notice Hydration and Big Goose are playing forward of him. He can't really advance that close. He exposes his left flank by moving to the payload. He's got to sit behind it, but now Fisher gets up the wall. And starting to Crows, the Valiant are being moved out of the high ground. They're in the small room now. They actually can't peek out at all. It's up to Soon to shut down Shaz. But look at this. Fisher and Shawford just mincing the Valiant inside that small room. And the Gladiators look so good on this map, Matt, right now. The Valiant struggling to keep up.
Such a filthy combo. Bastion plus a supercharger, then all the healing from the Valkyrie that comes out of Big Goose. Shaz does die, so he will switch over to Zen here for the final part of this map. You have Sherpa will play Tracer. You thought maybe he'd play Widowmaker all throughout, but he's gonna play Tracer, try and get a little bit of aggressive, which is quite odd. Doesn't really have like a great diving partner. It's really only Bishu here.
We're seeing from the Valiant the tendencies they showed in map 1 is their inability to sort of adapt to something that has given them problems. This is a fairly similar team composition with Kareem obviously having switched up. Soon's still playing that Widowmaker. They haven't really shut down Shaz, and he was able to switch off of the Bastion quite happily. He only died once, and he was resurrected. Brutal stuff. 4 players here, huddled up behind the shield. The Gladiators are not in any hurry to try and dive. In fact, their composition doesn't allow for it. They want the Valiant to try and get on them whilst avoiding Soon's shots on the Widowmaker with his shielding.
Yeah, Sherpa will go back to Tracer. Now this makes a little bit more sense. Didn't really make much sense when he was playing that Tracer. Now you can have Big Goose pocket him. You can nail some of those shots from range. Because the Valiant don't exactly have a dive to put a ton of pressure onto Sherpa, right? He just needs to win that battle against Soon. He takes out Kareem here early with a headshot. Now the payload can continue to move.
Not playing dive against this comp for the Gladiators means the Gladiators are going to be given a lot of space because Agilities has to keep the enemy at arm's length to be effective. Soon has to sit back and can't get too close. Sure, the dive tanks for the Valiant can go in, but the Gladiators have a Roadhog. They can just blow them the heck up. Shawford now just trying to angle back a little bit. This is a single DPS composition for the Gladiators. It's very durable. They're going to try and weather the storm now as they make their way forward. And look how close this is. Agilities lets a Riptide go into the back line. Shawford again! It's his second snipe on a Riptide in this series so far, and he does it so well. He has to get away from Fate, but Fate now is kind of looking a bit silly. He has to take back to the high ground, and he's very low.
Yeah, Fate has to go all the way into the back to try and put damage on it. Surfboard just gets pocketed by Big Goose. That's created a huge opportunity on the payload with Bishu, Fisher, and Hydration able to take out a few players. The Valiant defense has not been good here at all, Mitch.
Valkyrie being used there by Custer. Try and get closer, but no, they just get pushed off the point. Wow, okay. The Los Angeles Valiant look very shaky, very uncertain, and entirely unwilling to take a head-on fight against the Gladiators right now. They give up so much space, and the map, there was like 2 minutes and 50 seconds still on the time bank. That is a blisteringly fast attack as far as this map is concerned.
It's just a dominant pace from the Gladiators there.
Cracking
right now, I mean, you know, you look at just kills, right? Final blows, 19-5 in favor of the Gladiators right now. They were not able to get really much of anything with the Widowmaker. And then I know the Riptires they were getting, right? The Riptires you needed to be big plays from Agilities to dislodge them off the payload, and they weren't able to get anything with them.
I mean, generally, it was a pretty tough one here for the Valiant. I mean, generally speaking, a pitiful damage output by comparison. But most importantly here, not finding those kills. It was a very durable lineup on the Gladiators here. The Valiant didn't have a lot of chances to set up. You know, Soon with 1 final blow, Space with 2. No one had more than 2 final blows on that team. Realistically, you know, we need to see a little bit more from, again, like Soon, that Widowmaker is very important. If he can't control Shawford and is forced to switch off, this might be over before it begins.
We'll see what the Valiant decide to run on offense, though. Kareem gives you a lot of options. He's a support player who can obviously play a ton of DPS. He was a DPS player last stage. He can play Hanzo here. He can play Widowmaker. He can play Roadhog. A lot of different things he can do.
This is more likely a Hanzo just to Sonic Array that first building, just so they don't get sort of early dove. Cheeky Junkrat trap.
I mean, you can run double sniper here, right? We see a lot of teams. That's kind of what they adopted towards the later end of stage 1 when Junkertown was played. Bishu gets really close there, trying to hear sound cues of what heroes are in the spawn for the Valiant to give a little bit of an idea what's about to happen.
Oh, Fate takes a lot of damage early on there, and I actually think that that remote mine was able to be used. The spawn door on this map on attacking side, you can't actually look at the ground. So if there's a trap that's snuck in there and you don't hear the sound of it setting up, then you might actually just walk into it. Oh, soon. That's a very wide peak. Does see this is Short Fall. Yeah, look at that, getting smashed. He's lucky to be alive. If Custom wasn't pocketing, that could have been game over for him.
It's a late switch to the Bastion. And as I mentioned, it's kind of hard to get the Bastion set up on the cart.
Again, I guess Bastion against a comp like this that would like to play from range is good, but Hydration catches Soon out. It's like a game of Mousetrap. Oh man, Ratatouille. Not looking so flash now. Fisher tried to fortify, but he'll be chased up. Shorefall wants to cheekily wrap around the back, and Custer is in trouble. Oh, Soon! He's gone! With the wind, and Shorefall now is in a position to harass even further. Space has to commit to this Widowmaker. Shorefall kind of fluffs that first grappling hook. He realizes he might go down here. But it's too late. The Valiant have broken through. Kareem just had a huge performance there. 4 kills for him on this Bastion. And both teams have fallen foul to the old stage 1 Junkertown approach, Matt.
The throwback here on Junkertown as Kareem now sits up on the payload. Shaz will go off of Roadhog, will go to Zenyatta. So you want to get those supports in. Discord, plus maybe a shot from Surefour, well, let's see how Hydration goes with this Riptire, right? Agilities didn't really do much with his Riptires, didn't really get them off of the payload. Let's see if Hydration can be a little bit better.
This is kind of where you'd like to dive the enemy Bastion, but the Gladiators don't have a composition that allows for that at all. And you can see there that Space is keeping check on that window. He might just drive his mech into the Riptire again. Oh no, he doesn't quite get it though. Kareem down, that's exactly the play they needed. He just used tank configuration. That was when Kareem was going to be at his most powerful. And he's cut down. Absolutely the best target to find if it's just going to be a one-man tire.
And the Valiant knew where the tire was coming from, but Bishu actually follows the Riptire up with Defense Matrix, and that's how they're able to get it so close to the payload. So nice play there between Bishu and Hydration, able to set that up.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but if you run into a Riptire as a D.Va, you don't blow it up, do you? Do you clip through it or not? Because it seems as if the Space was trying to do just that, trying to blow himself up, but he either missed the tire slightly, or he just didn't interact with him, and then Hydration was able to set it off whenever he wanted. That one I'm not too sure about.
Now Kareem will play Hanzo here on offense, so want to go double sniper here against the Gladiator setup. Hanzo obviously extremely good at bursting down some of these tanks. It's going to be difficult for Bishu and Fisher to stay alive. Fisher obviously does have that big Orisa barrier up top. It'll be Shaz who takes Soon out from range. That's going to force that resurrection out of Custa. So you do have Valkyrie here for the Valiant.
It's like TSA right now. Shorefall see straight through him. That's exactly what they're bringing into this next fight. There's a Riptire. Shorefall gets it again. Come on. Gonna have to wake up early in the morning if you want to sneak a Riptire onto this man's nose. Hold thrown in. Shorefall not pulled in, so he'll be okay there. But he still goes down to that self-destruct. Transcendence being thrown at the point. Shaz doesn't have a choice but to be stationary. He walked into a trap while using that ultimate. And Hydration now sends another Riptire in. Bishu, that's biggie by the Agilities and Fate. Hydration's getting it done. Agility's brought back to life. It's kind of like being brought back after an apocalypse and realizing the last person alive. Not great.
So the Gladiators do use a lot of their ultimates there. So Space will get D-Mac towards the end of this fight. We can take a look at Bishu's self-destruct, perfect placement. They also use the Riptire during that. But Agility, okay, so you make some changes. They're going to go straight up dive here. They're going to try and get right on top of Surefour up on that high ground. You did reset yourself in terms of ultimates on a few players, right? Fate, Soon, Kareem, and Agilities.
I did not like this composition on attack from the Valiant on Temple of Maneuvers, Matt. It didn't work. They need to make it work now. It's a different map, different topography, different setup. But they need to connect with some of these divers. Must happen.
I would say unlike Anubis, you kind of have to spread out here on the defense in Junkertown, where Anubis you can kind of play together the entire time. It makes it a little easier to defend.
Fate goes very low to a couple of shots from Surefour. He's found Custer, who has to abscond into the hallway as quickly as he can. Kareem deals with Fisher, and that's Custer down! Surefour, a lot of space. Like I said this before, but Widowmaker's like a really good interior designer. You give her space, she can do a lot with it.
As Widowmaker in the Overwatch League this far, I feel like...
Oh, God!
Oh, man. Just get Custer right out of the spawn.
You see she's cringing visibly on the screen like, oh, you had to do it to him, didn't you?
Widowmaker, I think, has been the biggest game changer since Overwatch League began. With the players here, obviously, extremely skilled on the hero. I know the tournament client here. Obviously, you know, playing on LAN every day, Widowmaker a little bit more effective in this environment. It's really just been a complete game changer, just being able to get the one-shot kills, the good accuracy, just changed a lot of the other heroes that are played well as well, right? I mean, Widowmaker kind of keeps Mercy in the meta for a very long time.
Despite obviously her Resurrect no longer being instant speed. Oh, short 4! He connects soon, or like soon to respawn. Rough. Nice little correction there. Hydration finding fake in the interim there. Like I said, Matt, it might be a different map, but the Valiant are having about the same level of success with this dive composition as they did on the Temple of Anubis. And this is going to take us to a map 5 if they can't come up with an answer real quick.
You probably have 2 fights here, though. If the Valiant go quick, you're probably going to have another shot at this after. I mean, 40 seconds where the payload is to be really close, but you know, both support ultimates here. For the Gladiators up, it's going to be an Infra Sight, it's going to be a Riptire as well. If this connects, you have one really kind of like patch together. Yeah, it's not great there. So, first kill goes on to Agility. Sherpool gets pretty close, but he knows the Valiant have to back out. You need Agility because he has that Dragon Blade. Dragon Blade key here to get these support ultimates out.
Well, Blizzard Arena, I don't think the Gladiators need to be reminded to keep the shields up. Fish has had them front and center for this entire round, and Shawfall's just been smacking out big hits from behind them. It's now or never for the Valiant here. We're going to be in overtime. Agility's using a Dragon Blade primarily on tanks. He can't even get Shaz! Everything's being taken away from the Valiant. All the opportunities now being denied. And soon has to get back inside this small room. Now Kareem just throws himself in his general direction, but no one's on the payload right now. It's a self-destruct that caused the problems. One coming out from space, but there was a shield up there. Pulse from on Fisher doesn't quite complete the kill. He used that Hulk, and now it's going to be Hydration coming in over the top. That's it, map 5. No other way, or no better way, to end the Battle of LA than a final showdown, Matt. It's getting hot in here.
You know, we could go into strategy and compositions and whatnot all day. But when you get out killed 45-13, it doesn't really matter what you're running. You're going to lose the game.
Shawfall, 11 final blows, 21 eliminations. Hydration with 13 final blows. Agilities and Soon put together 3 final blows. Not remotely enough, and the Valiant just didn't have the sting that they really needed. We'll see if they can get their wings out, because the shields are definitely up. One more map to come. We'll see you guys after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
The damage available. And Moira has so much ability to be able to just get away from players like Linkser on the Tracer. Now getting very close, building up the ult, and there it is.
Oh, okay, the Coalescence coming out here. Jae-Hong's just giving the Houston Outlaws a good hosing down. Oh, they're clean indeed. But that push from Soul was nothing but dirty. Well, we love the Overwatch League, and the Overwatch League loves us right back, man. We get a 5th map in our battle for Los Angeles. It's going to be very, very close as we head on to Oasis. But an interesting map we just saw in Junkertown, and honestly, not a good one for the Valiant whatsoever.
It's quite odd. I mean, the series goes to 5, but it feels like the Gladiators have really played much better than the Valiant throughout the day. I mean, even when the Gladiators have lost some of these maps, they've been close. Space versus Bishu in that last match. Obviously, you see Bishu dominate a lot of these categories. You know, a team that goes on to win as big as the Gladiators did. Obviously, his stats are going to be much better. I think, though, this is a big matchup looking at this next map coming up, map number 5.
In all fairness as well, Space actually doesn't have many eliminations because he has the 2nd most final blows on his team from that previous map. The most final blows on the Valiant on Junkertown, Kareev with 5. The DPS is almost non-existent there. And so Asher comes in for Shore4. So a lot of mixing and matching here on the side of the Gladiators to definitely get these plays in. And Bunny, the hero of Numbunny, has returned to the fray. This is going to be spicy.
And it's odd to see Shore4 come out after how well he played. I mean, in that Shore4 versus Soon Widowmaker matchup, right? Soon finishes that one 3 elims, 12 deaths. Shore4 21 and 4. Not a lot of Widowmaker play on Oasis, but I mean, Bunny did play very good on Numbani, so I think you give him another go here. I think Control is a game mode that probably serves him the best if he's going to be that playmaker, solo Tracer style. Although
you definitely want Genji Tracer dive and the Pharah option.
You want the Pharah here.
I mean, definitely on City Center. Pharah is going to do a heck of a lot for you. Obviously, Hydration can match there. Agilities went toe-to-toe with one Pharah already on the Gladiator side, so now having to go up against another one. Got to get tiring. One more map to decide this series, Los Angeles. I don't need to tell you to make some noise, but do it anyway. Oasis starts now.
Hydration will play Sombra at the beginning of this game, so we've seen an uptick in Sombra play throughout Stage 3. Obviously, functions much different than she did in the past. Now used as more of an offensive hero instead of just strictly on the defensive side of things.
Hydration. Reconnaissance to be done, perhaps. You'd like to get a hack on Space here, but Space won't let him. When you break line of sight and you're trying to hack your Sombra, your ability gets cancelled and put back on cooldown. So Hydration needs a clean look at whoever he wants to infiltrate technologically.
I think he's just looking for a hack on anybody. If he gets one on a Bunny, it'd be big, right? Because Bunny is going to go on these like long flanks. Maybe they're able to catch him off.
Drops down. Where's the hack? Doesn't get Bunny either. It's back on cooldown. Well, no, she's not on cooldown. She's got interrupted, so.
He got a little bit far away from it. Wasn't able to just finish off that hack. Got very close, but Shaz will get resurrected. So you had Fate fall here for the Valiant. As a few kills here going in favor of the Gladiators. Another hack trying to come through from Hydration onto Agilities. We know how devastating the hack is now. As Fisher's like,
get him, son!
The mapping.
Oh no, he's got another jump. He gets knocked back, barraged in. This is a bit ballsy. Fisher takes him down. Nobody got the like Fisher. Nobody's more handsome.
That is so filthy.
Nobody's more handsome and handsy when it comes to the Primal Rage, dude. That's so filthy.
I remember playing from Miro on Ilios on Lighthouse a while ago. That was just like that on Pharah.
You have such a low cooldown on your jump pack, right? It's what, like, is it 3 seconds cooldown on your jump pack in Primal Rage?
Yeah, it comes back very quick.
You can't fall.
Yeah, but you're able to just keep, if you keep leaping higher, you're able to get another one before you get down. You're able to make a factory.
All right, a lot of Mercy Valkyries in this fight. Bishu there just trying to connect damage on whoever he possibly can find. Hydration was brought back because Transcendence gave the Mercy fertile ground to regrow that important missing member of the Gladiators. But Agilities is still causing trouble. He's really leveled up on this particular map. Bishu's trying to watch the front door. Often it's tough to watch a D.Va player because they need to be very active, a lot of 180s going around. But for now, the Valiant have been pushed off the point. The pulse bomb on Custer really put the period on that sentence. The Gladiators will not be moved.
And I wonder if Bunny is going to opt into these Tracer battles. When it was Asher against Soon on Ilios, Soon didn't really take that 1v1 Tracer battle, was just opting to go, try and get for the supports, go for the tanks. I wonder if Bunny is going to be more proactive in trying to hunt down Asher, the Tracer specialist of the Gladiators, force him back, give his backline a little bit more time to breathe.
Bunny close to a pulse bomb. He'd love one here. Custer was taken down by one of the previous fight. And the Valiant could definitely use some burst to kickstart their fight. Bunny notes the location of Shaz and wants to wrap around. He'd love to get a pick on him. This EMP, though, could be deadly. Space, actually, was attempted to be hacked. Big Goose and Custer are both down, so Mercy's around to the fight here. Hydration, oh, he had to get out of there very quickly. He didn't even know what was shooting at him. It was Bunny. He just had to get out. He watched his health bar. Fisher now another Primal Rage, and the EMP is dropped down. Not many people really hacked, though, on the side of the Valiant here, but they're going to pressure regardless.
They do get Fate, though, as he has Primal Rage, so can't use that ultimate to extend this fight longer. You lose one of your tanks, and then you get the other one demeched.
Oh!
Agility is able to stay alive, though, has the Dragon Blade to use.
Custer and Kareem just returned to the point, so the cavalry has arrived. Agilities has some backup now, and the Dragon Blade might actually be an option if they really need the cleanup, but I think they can get it done without that. The Gladiators happily give up the point to the Valiant. The Valiant worked hard for it, but the Gladiators, there's no point stalling any longer. They're at 99, one more fight. The Gladiators will take this first round.
They do have 99, and they're in a good spot. You're going to have Valkyrie, you're going to have Transcendence here. Agilities, he needs to make the play here for the Valiant. You have no support ultimates. You have Primal Rage to keep this one alive, but it's this Dragon Blade. How do you get these support ultimates out before that Dragon Blade comes through? Not exactly sure. You don't really have anything else to do.
Can you pressure Shaz as Fate with a Primal Rage to force the Transcendence?
Good.
Maybe that's an option.
There's Valkyrie. Well, you lose Agilities already.
That's bad for the Valiant. They may have lost this round already. Customer and Agilities are down. Fate's going ham now. Luckily, he avoids the traffic. There would have been instant death for a Primal Rage Winston, which is not good. That's 1,000 HP in one hit. But now he's going to chase down. He wants to try and force something out of Shaz, but he's already used the Transcendence. He does get the kill. There are still players on the point. It's Space and Bunny for the time being. Space is down, though. Now we're in the overtime. Fate joins the point. Agility and Custer are back, so we're back to 4 players for the Valiant. It's time for the Dragon Blade now or never. We're on the edge of glory, but Agility's edge is just not keen enough. We can't even cut through Big Goose. The blaster in the face of an ulting Genji. Incredible. The guy's got cojones, man. There's no doubt about it. First round, Gladiators. Looking unstoppable now.
It was nice movement by Agilities with the blade, because he actually gets one swipe on a Hydration, and then Hydration uses the translocator, and he kind of has an idea which direction he went to. Big Goose over there, though, with Hydration. So, you see Hydration? Well, you can't really see it, but he ends up actually behind Big Goose here. Big Goose on Percy able to finish off Agilities.
That's pretty crazy.
The Goose is loose today.
The Goose. Goose is cooking. He has been unbelievable this series, and it's incredible actually because we do have 2 Mercy players on these 2 teams that love to go aggressive in those fights. We saw Kareem do it on Ilios. I believe actually both Mercies killed the enemy Faras in their ultimates in one fight. We love a bit of bloodthirsty support play, don't we, ladies and gentlemen? Here we go though, round 2. We're in the University.
Triple tank for the Gladiators, and you're going to have Agilities play Pharah here. Usually this is like a really good Junkrat point, but I guess if you know the other team's going to play triple tank and they're going to play a Junkrat as that solo DPS, you could get a decent amount of value out of the Pharah here.
Actually, one of the Gladiators are bringing a Xayah into this fight. So Shaz is down early, gets picked off. The Moira, first time we've seen that on this map at least. Oh, that's a long hook. He does pull Fate in, but he manages to break the hook, I think, by just being on the corner. Fisher goes down. And Asher now just wants to start pounding, get the meat grinder in there. He finds Fate, and it will be the Gladiators in a good position here to take control. Great poke damage in Kareem now. Shaz wins that back out.
It's just going to be too much damage from the Pharah up in the sky that they can't even respond to. It'll be a rocket barrage already for Agilities as the Valiant put the point back in their favor. I wonder if you decide to change here if you're the Gladiators. Do you want to roll out with this again? You're going to have a Rip Tire, so you may as well stay on this Junkrat for one more go. But where do you go after this? Surefour usually plays, whether it's like the 76 or the McCree. Same with Silk Thread in the lineup. Don't have either of those players in here now for the Gladiators.
Agilities, privileged position up here. Very hard to deal with him unless Hydration fancies, using his mind to get up there, but I doubt it. Hoping to knock Fisher into the pit. Fisher Reinhardt is something we don't see all that much of. And you can see that Agility's getting real close. Every little bit of extra damage he can find, he has. Space does a good job. He shuts down another Riptire. He's often been quite reliable in that regard. Coalescence cuts out from the point, and that is going to usher the Gladiators forward here. A Sound Barrier 2. They've laid their support ultimates to give them that extra durability, and they'll be rewarded with the point. But Agility's isn't done yet. He might fancy a bit of a barrage here on Asher. That's all he wants, just the one kill. Fisher could be in trouble. He turns his head away from Bishu. Very clever. He prevents the Diva taking him down with the splashback of his own barrage. Pulse Bomb dropped in, and Fisher steps back.
But where is the answer for this Pharah? Right now, Agility's 38% of overall team damage. Is shooting 57% accuracy with those Pharah rockets, so doing a ton of damage, a rocket barrage every minute. Now you see a change. So Asher will play McCree. They'll have Hydration actually switch off of Junkrat, so they still want to run this triple tank. They're committed to the triple tank lineup. They're going to have Asher play McCree, though, so he has to get the big kills.
And he also has to stay safe, Matt. The Valiant can still dive him with 3. The McCree is definitely very vulnerable if he closes the gap. Doesn't like getting too close. But Fisher now moves on to the point, and the Gladiators can rally around this particular shield. Very fitting, I know.
They know that he has an Earth Shatter, though. The Valiants are so spread out. They know he has an Earth Shatter. Don't want to get hit by that.
Oh, no. That self-destruct probably didn't have the intended effect. Went straight down the bottom of the well. Earth Shatter in. They've caught space. Just a mini deeper, and they'll have to be satisfied with that. The Pulse Bomb was dropped. Ash is there, though. That's the Farah counter that they were looking for. Bunny falls to a Fire Strike, and now the Gladiators are back in the driving seat. Going to be Fate using his final jumps out just to stay alive. And the purple and white have moved back into residence.
They're going to have both support ultimates as well for the next fight. Do you keep agilities on Farah, or do you have him switch up? Could play something like a Junkrat here. Should be very good against McCree. Obviously, McCree doesn't have a ton of mobility, trying to move through the chokes, get some shots down. But you see the positions Agilities is playing with the Farah. He's very difficult to track down. It'll be Coalescence to open things up here for the Gladiators as they want to get aggressive on the Valiant.
And why not? They're being propelled forward. Once again, both Coalescence and Sound Barrier layered. Space goes down, but Agility's going to try and respond with a barrage. He comes in over the top, but he's down. Bishi removed him. Only 1 kill for the barrage is not the kind of value Agilities wants, and he may switch off to the Genji here. That might have been why he used that more frivolously. But no, it seems that he still wants to stay on this Farah. No, okay, that's the switch.
Yeah,
second guess it.
He's going to go Genji. You're going to be able to get a ton of ult charge on the 3 tanks. If he just keeps poking at these tanks, and then Asher's going to be in a lot of trouble. You're going to have Bunny coming from one side, Julie's from another. That's a big pulse bomb. Asher's lucky to get away from it. Oh, not able to finish it off after the flashbang. Now they have to go. They got to jump on this McCree.
You've got to hit that first headshot on a stunned-up Tracer, and it looks like he couldn't find it. Now the Valiant can move back in control. It's 86 to 95% here. The Valiant had the lead, but for how much longer? Self-destruct thrown at the point. Fate goes down to Fisher trying to return, and Kareem found Bishu after he removed through his mech. The self-destruct didn't really claim too much, and Kareem big. He's found Asher as well. Fisher trying to get back to the point. He needs to retake control. Big Earth Shatter, but no, the Fire Strike doesn't reach Custer. It buries itself in the ground before it gets to the fallen body of the Mercy. That could have been a big kill, but Bunny strikes back now, pushing in, and it's going to be an attempt for Shaz to get away by using the Fade, but it's not enough. Now to Sound Barrier. 3 players for that one, but that's a massive pulse bomb for Bunny. This guy always steps up in those overtime scenarios. Bishu gets a bit cute with a Bunny Blaster, but there's no one left from the Gladiators to contest. The Valiant say, is there no one else? Is there no one else? And map 3, or round 3 of Oasis is on the cards to decide the winner of this match, Matt.
Oh, let's take a look at Kareev picking up these 2 kills on the point. The Valiant gets so close to taking the point, and Bishu does a nice job. You see the self-destruct that he puts in there, just buys them a second. How close the Valiant were to flipping this over, but 2 big kills, 1 onto Bishu, 1 on Asher there for Kareev. See why they want to open it up a little bit, you know, in terms of flex support, that role for him so he can play that Zen.
If you're wondering what's being said on the crowd, if you're not familiar with these very loud fan bases, it's shields up being yelled by the Gladiators and wings out by the Valiant. Again, both of them would like to try and embody their mottos as much as possible.
I find it interesting that the Gladiators go with Sombra and Tracer again, especially because you just saw Agilities commit to the Farah for an extended period of time. When that stage isn't for the best Farah map. This is the map that you would usually see the Farah come out on. So you figure if they used it on the last one, they're going to use it here.
And not much really threatens Agilities in this particular composition. Maybe Asher didn't want to play McCree, hoping that the Valiant wouldn't opt for this, but they've got such a sick pocket pick in this Farah. And without Silk Thread on the Gladiators, oh, that's cheeky! Agilities is grounded! Go to your room!
Custer's going to try and res this, I think, though. Yep. He'll get the res, but he'll fall in the process.
Fish is also back, though, so the big tank in the lull in fighting. Both teams were able to replenish their troops, bolster the ranks, and it's the Gladiators that actually come out a bit stronger this time, but Agilities is still at large up in the sky. Bunny's hacked on the low ground. Not much he can do to survive this. He just has to really accept his fate. Kareev wasn't on the point. He had to back away. Agilities down. And the Gladiators, a very long fight. We finally have our first blood, first point taken.
Hydration can keep getting these hacks onto high-value targets. It's going to look like a really good pick here for the Gladiators, because right now, 1 enemy EMP'd when he's played Sombra thus far, but he's got 7 other hacked enemies. So he's been able to complete 7 hacks on players, which is pretty massive.
Asher sneaks in that EMP. Whoa! It looked like it actually affected Kareev, but no, he's still able to use the Transcendence. The animation maybe not always as telling. Bishu's low. Asher now stays inside the bubble. He needs that protection for the time being. That could be a big pulse bomb. He claims Fader to come back in this fight for the Gladiators. Possibly. They've got 2 kills, but they're only working with a couple of players now. Barrage from Agilities. Doesn't claim any kills, but it definitely will force the Gladiators away and out of position. The Valiant strike back in the most erratic of fashion. That aggression pays off.
It's that EMP. Hydration definitely thinks he's going to connect with Kareem during this. And he doesn't end up doing so. We can take a look here. Oh, he just gets right behind the pillar there for a second.
He was actually within the AoE, but he broke that line of sight to avoid it. That's so clever. Naturally, it's kind of weird, but...
Because he was definitely in the range.
Yes.
When we saw it, it definitely looked like he was going to connect. Didn't get a glimpse behind the pillar there. Heads up play there by Kareem.
It's a game of inches, Matt. I said that beforehand. Little tweaks, little adaptations are going to win a marathon series like this. And now Agilities. Fairly tweaked out himself. A lot of room to work with. Still no answer to his Farah from the Gladiators here. He's still free to reign and roam. And Kareem isn't affected by the EMP, so now we can just give the healing to those that don't have the use of their abilities. And Shaz is down. Both Tracers found key targets with their pulse bombs, but Bunny found Big Goose. Space in Mini Diva form is not really where you want to stick that. And the Valiant will remain in control.
Fissure did a really nice job there using Primal Rage as soon as Custa used his Valkyrie, because he was able to just bash Kareem back, which forced Custa to go fly all the way over to him. Denied a lot of healing from the rest of the members of the Valiant. Also got Kareem to use his Transcendence, but still the remaining members on the Gladiators not able to pick up those kills. It's a nice play though by Fissure, just didn't work out.
It is Agility, so much free damage. He's got 30% of his team's overall damage, 14 final blows on this map. It's huge. And he's now sitting on yet another barrage, and they can't stop him with this composition. So now it's up to Agilities. It's his game to lose, really. He can't interact much with what happened in that side room. Everyone broke line of sight. He couldn't really reach them with the rockets, with the Winston shielding present. He'll have to go away, and the Gladiators now will have a chance to try and shore up their defense on this point. They have no support ultimate.
Bunny will get it to 93%. This EMP needs to connect from Hydration. It's really all you have to make this work for the Gladiators. You have Rocket Barrage, Self-Destruct, and a Pulse Bomb for the Valiant.
He's just setting up just so he has a vantage point. Again, a little bit of damage. Oh, very clever. He spotted out, he takes a bit of damage. Kareem knows how to play the game against this kind of pick. Hydration, that was a stick on Fissure. He's able to back away now. It might be an EMP time, and it is, and a lot of people are affected by that one. Bunny and Fate go down to the self-destruct. Perfect combo. That's where that EMP needs to be employed. Custer got hacked, but he should be safe. He has a high perch to sit in that small room for now. But that allows the Gladiators to quickly replenish and bring Bishu back into the fray. He can resuit. And now, one more fight will decide the outcome of not just this round, not just this map, but this entire 5-map series.
You're going to have Transcendence and Valkyrie here, though, for the Valiant. It's a huge advantage, and the EMP had just been used, so you're not scared about getting EMP'd. Asher is going to get Kareem weak, forces out Transcendence a little bit earlier than he would have liked. It's going to force him to push all the way in with the tanks.
That could be the win con here for the Gladiators to get that ultimate out of the Valiant early. Fissure with Primal Rage. There's going to be so much brought to bear in this fight. And now we see they take to the point. We had a barrage being used by Agilities, and Hydration is down. He's missing. Asher and Big Goose, they get the job done. They're taken out. Kareem found himself 2 kills. He found both supports. Unbelievable. This individual in Kareem brings his clutch moments just when they're needed. And now the Gladiators, it's desperation. Fissure can only throw himself at the point and stall out. You can see he's trying to avoid as much damage as possible. This will buy time for Hydration, Asher and Big Goose to get back in. But they have to commit to this one now. They've got no time to work with. Overtime is low, and they're in. In for a penny, in for a pound. This is where it all ends. Big Goose is air shot there. He takes one big hit. Bishu's now getting chunked on down. He does have the Valkyrie in play, and Agilities isn't sure. There's the trans, Matt.
Yeah, they're going to try and use the Transcendence to bring back Fissure, so you get your main tank bit here, but it's going to be Space who takes him out with a self-destruct right away. Agilities will handle Bishu.
It's done. There's no one left. There it is. The Gladiators try and clip the wings of the Valiant, but the green and gold take it to the Maximus. And we have a victor. It was 4-0 in favor of the Gladiators last stage, but now this city belongs to the Valiant.
Bunny, man. 40 limbs, 16 final blows, only 7 deaths, 34 limbs, 18 final blows for Agilities. The 2 DPS players of the Valiant here towards the end really came alive. They gave up Hydration and Asher all they could handle, but the Valiant DPS, the rest of their squad, comes out on top in a game 5.
This is the kind of match that we're going to be thinking about for weeks and months to come. What an epic struggle. You know what? This didn't have to be a rivalry match. It didn't have to be a big deal. And yet here it is. The fans are behind it. The teams always take it up another level when they face off. Nothing better than the Battle of LA to kick us off here in week 3.
Yeah, and I thought one of the areas where the Valiant would have had a clear upper edge was in terms of off-tank with Space and Bishu. But Bishu had himself a very good series, front to back, puts together a game 5 there, 30 limbs, only 10 deaths, 12 final blows. Comes up with some big self-destruct kills, able to stall it out.
What an incredible series from Kareev as well. In that map, he had 11 final blows. He killed both Big Goose and Shaz in that final fight. You can't ask for much more than that. Newly minted LA Valiant looking amazing. And we're going to head down now to the stage with Malik for a post-match interview.
All right, everybody. I'm here with Agilities from the Valiant, who just pulled off the 5-map victory. Agilities, man, you were going off with Farah just now. Were you surprised that in Oasis it took them so long to hard counter you with that McCree?
I think that they had their Sombra plan and it worked out really well because Sombra's a pretty good counter to Farah now. So I think that's their plan going in because they knew we were going to play Farah. But otherwise, I think they worked out like pretty good and they switched around good. So yeah, it was a good game.
All right, all right. Now, you guys you've done a lot this stage, still undefeated and whatnot. And but a lot of people have been saying that you guys' record is not as valid because the strength of schedule hasn't been as difficult for you guys. What do you have to say about that?
I think that we're doing our best right now. We're kind of a new team with the new additions to our roster, and I think that like the harder we play against the lower opponents, like the easier it'll be for the harder ones.
All right, man. Well, hey, they were in and out of it, but they pulled it out. The Valiant still undefeated over the Gladiators, and with that, let's send it back to the desk to break down this matchup.
Thank you so much, Malik. I see what you did there. That was a good one.
It was a good one.
You know, that was a good one. Welcome back to the desk, everyone. What a matchup that was. The battle for LA never ceases to disappoint. Bren, Crumbs, wow, we were treated to something truly, truly special there. Going the distance, literally.
That was crazy, honestly. Like, shout out to Gladiators, to be fair to them. Like, despite the fact that they are coming off the back of this loss, those guys have improved. They prepped for this match. Like, you could see it. That was some quality Overwatch. Like, that comes around every now and then. It's like, whoosh.
I mean, Valiant is the top team in Stage 3, and they actually took them to Game 5. No other team had done that. They'd 4-0'd 3 times already, 2-1 Dallas, and now they actually get tested and deliver just as we expected.
Yeah, well, let's jump into the highlights here and, you know, get the discussion rolling. I mean, you know, everyone I felt like popped off in this game. Didn't matter who it was. You know, guys like Soon and Agilities, but also on the other side, Bishu, as well as Silk Thread. You know, everyone had a moment in this game.
Ilios in particular was a game that was pretty much decided as well a lot of the time by these first picks coming out from these teams, but it was incredibly close still, despite the fact that there was only 2 rounds and both going to LA Valiant. Like, this round in particular, LA Gladiators won it to 94%. Valiant take it back, and they do not drop it whatsoever. They bring it all the way to 99% and clutch it out in the end. And I gotta say, Agilities, like, this is the guy that everyone was paying attention to, including ourselves. We said you can't really be, you know, trying to avoid this guy at all because he has the raw mechanical skill to just outright win these games.
Yeah, I mean, after this, I want to take myself in and now make sure I can improve my gameplay in pretty much every aspect.
That's impossible.
He's really just...
There's no, I gotta get good at no combine this.
Oh man, you guys suck.
I will say this much though, right? There was a lot of backlash coming out from onto Noah, right? The owner of the Valiants and the Amolas as well, because he was making all these changes, right? The coaching staff was. There's a lot of backlash, right? But I mean, you know, where are you guys now? Hashtag Noah was right. You know, he was in there. You know, Valiant are looking like a top team. Like, they are the most dominant in Stage 3 we've just seen. They were tested against Gladiators just now, and they came out on top. Like, that is a trial by fire.
When we look at the roster, we never really had any criticism towards the roster. We always knew these players could be really good, and we saw it today. Kareev actually had some sick games. Custa, Soon, Agilities, Fade. Like, it's a solid lineup. It just had to get the pieces working, make sure that the coaching staff knows how to manage everybody, and now you've got a 5-0 team. you're practically sealed in for Stage 3 playoffs at least, or a favorite.
I mean, it also feels like, too, that's just a testament to the players consistently wanting to prove and get better. I mean, you know, you had Custa coming out of the fuel, wasn't really used all that much, but this guy has a lot to offer to any team, and it is very evident in this victory, though. That was a very grueling matchup. But let's take a look, though, at the grueling game that was Oasis. And Crumbs, what do you got?
Yeah, Custa is basically forged from the flames, an obsidian blade to seal the deal in for the Los Angeles Gladiators.
This was a ridiculous
Listen, that's geology for you, but yeah, this is a sick play out of Fissure. But unfortunately, I think Fissure actually did not come up as big as I expected it. I think he got alley-oop a couple of times for the game-winning moment and was unable to deliver.
It's tough though, right?
It's right.
He's got a lot of pressure on his back. I mean, nobody's doubting that much. But, I mean, Oasis, what a ridiculous game this was. It goes to all 3 rounds, all 3 sections of Oasis. And Kareem, right? This guy on your screen right now, he had an unreal performance, I think, on Zenyatta. Like, it was actually ridiculous. He was getting so many first opening picks on both, you know, all of the sections pretty much across the board. And, as well, playing into Hydration's Sombra, like, when you're playing Zenyatta into a good Sombra player, that is scary.
And the Tracer, too.
And the Tracer.
Yeah.
Like, he had such a tough job on the Oasis and still clutched out and still performed. Very impressive.
Well, gentlemen, we have to pick our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP, and it is Agilities. I mean, I couldn't have thought of a better player for this one. This guy was popping off, whether it was the Junkrat or the Genji. Anything. Right. This man was making it work.
I mean, when we look at these games, when I write things down, I typically tend to write down things that stand out or fights and just keep track of what's going on. And most of the fights that Valiant won had Agilities written in them. Either his Junkrat, his Pharah, his hero pool that needs to be countered. He was constantly a threat that needed to be addressed, and when he wasn't, he murdered.
Yeah. I think the most impressive fact for Agilities, from me at least, is the fact that he's got the mechanical skill, but the fact that he plays these heroes like Genji so well that he can play it into the Sombra, right? Into the McCree and still have a standout performance, despite the fact that they are focusing him down with the hacks. They're trying to shut down this star player. Still, he performs and really sets up his team for the win with the help of his tank partners as well. Of course, Fate in space.
Yeah, what a way to start things off here at week 3, day 1, man. I love it. This is exactly what you want to see. Totally agree with whatever that was right there. So that's going to do it for us here at the desk. But make sure you stay glued to your seats. No bathroom breaks, no water breaks for you, because coming up next, we got Dallas versus the San Francisco Shock. It's going to be awesome. You don't want to miss it, and we'll see you on the other side.